Yo, yo, Real Enigmas and Theories is back again with another live stream. This will be our last time on StreamYard because they like doubled their prices and everything, and it's not even worth it. They have other streaming services out there that have more capabilities for less monthly fee. But this will be our last time. They doubled the price. So I'm gonna go ahead and rock with Taran. We just gonna go regular StreamYard vibe on here. We'll be able to still be able to share screens and stuff like that. Let's see what's going on up in here. Hold on, let's see. Okay, we got some people in here already. Yeah, I do have OBS. KP is in the building. I do have OBS, and I started to set it up, but it would have took a little while to go ahead and get that going. Let me see what I could still do in here. Yeah, they doubled the price on it. All right, what's going on, Taryn? How you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm working on towards a deadline for my latest book, and then I'm going to be taking a little bit of a break from writing so I can focus on other things. And yeah, so it's like every day I'm just typing away, distracting myself with watching the various interviews that the actors and showrunners are still doing, which I got to say, I'm quite impressed with how even after season 3's finished, and even though there's a year and a half between seasons, that they're still jumping on these interviews with these small YouTubers, and they're giving up 45 minutes, half an hour to sometimes an hour and a half, even 2 hours lately, to speak to these channels, and to be honest, they're pretty, they're wonderful channels, fantastic interviewers, but they don't have these huge audiences. Maybe some of these channels maybe only have 60 subscribers, and they'll still put in the time. So I think that's a pretty impressive effort from the actors and the showrunners to do community outreach. And I think that's something that you don't get very often from shows. And it's actually one of the things I enjoy most about the show is the interactivity with the actors and the showrunners. I even actually finally got a question answered by John Griffin and Jack Bender and Jeff Pinkner, where I asked them what their writers' room looked like, and they basically told me that because of COVID, their process had become an online one, and that basically it exists in their notes rather than on the walls in a really cool room somewhere in Halifax, as I kind of pictured it, unfortunately.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, they have answered a couple of questions. But you know what? To me, those interviews don't look like they really are trying to take us into a journey of where their minds were with putting out what they put out. It's like the interviews just kind of rely on us to ask the questions, but they
Well,
haven't like really like laid the, I don't know. You're in an interview for over an hour or so, and you're not like really dropping drools, and a lot of the interviewers or questions that come out are all about debunking other theories, which is corny as fuck to me because it's a waste of a question.
yeah,
Like,
I would say that, let's say, for example, that the answer to From was aliens, and it was all aliens, right? Let's just say that was the truth for a moment. If the interviewer asks the showrunners, I'm asking you now, is it aliens? Are they going to respond with, I can't tell you that, or are they going to say, it's not this? Like, I just think that you're never going to get a straight answer, because if it is, they're not going to tell you. If it's not, you can't trust the answer anyway. And if they hedge their bet, and if they say maybe or whatever, it creates suspicion. So I don't know. I kind of agree with you in that sense. Although it's interesting to see the way they react to it. For example, Jack Bender had a very interesting reaction when he was asked to debunk the alien theory by E-Man in his interview with him. And the face he made was almost one of distaste. Like he didn't particularly like that theory very much, but he could also be doing some amazing acting. So that's the part that I do like about asking the showrunners directly about theories that exist. I just don't think that asking them to debunk it is necessarily a good approach. It could be more to comment on it, I think, would be more appropriate a question, perhaps.
Right, or to comment on what they thought about those theories. I agree with you. Let's get to these shout outs real quick. We got Nene in the building, the beautiful Nene. How you doing, sis? Good to see you. Much love to you. Yes, indeed. We got Soul Taker Dojo in the building. My man Ray Barnes is here. Yes. We got Ronnie Martin in the building. Good to see you. What's up, Familia? What's good, Familia? You know what I'm saying? I see Doc Kaju in there with that Familia. Doc Kaju, what's good? Good to have you here. No Context. Good to have you here as well. Amy, nice to see you. Good to have you here. We have Nicole Thomas. She's here. Good to have you in as well. Who else is here? We got Ebony. Good evening, Mr. Real and Taran and the Familia. Happy holidays. Yes, good to see you here. As always, Sprinkle Kitty, it's always good to see you as well. What's going on? We got Jessica O, the beautiful Jessica O is here. Yes, we got Gothic Chick here. Nikisha's here. We got Pepsi in the building. I made a live with Real and Taran. Paint me happy. That's what's up. The wonderful, beautiful Delcinia Tucker's in the building. Good to see you. Good to see you. I hope you're feeling better. Hope everything is going well with you. It's good to have you back. We love it. Yes. Yes, indeed. I feel the same way, Amy. Hope she's feeling better. We have Highly Dedicated. Shout out to the chat. Shout out to Real and Taran. That's what's up. Appreciate you. Yes, indeed. Michael's here. Who else we got here? William Waddy was good. What's up? Good to have you in the building, brother. Yeah, who else is in here with us? Yeah, don't forget to hit that like button and show some love on your way in. Thank you all for coming through. We about to cook tonight. Trust and believe that. We got a lot to talk about. I agree with what you're saying, Taran. It's just I would love to hear more about their thought process through these 3 seasons, actually, because they haven't been around too much for the first and second season to do many interviews. They did a couple here and there, and they did some stuff that they put out themselves, like MGM stuff. But to come out on the 3rd season and just pretty much like just be barraged with a bunch of questions on other people's theories is kind of whack. It's not really giving us what we want. You know what I mean? I would love
look, I like seeing them on the spot. I'm not gonna lie. You know, I like seeing them in the hot seat. I like seeing how they react to questions. I just think asking to debunk it, you're never going to get a straight answer. So you'd be better off asking their opinion of how the theory applies to the show and judge their reaction that way, I guess is all I would say about it. But I do enjoy the confrontation sort of thing. It is a little interesting.
Yeah, for them to be put on the spot here and there. You know, I would love to see their thought process behind the breadcrumbs and to hear them point out some of the things like, hey, did you guys catch this? Hey, did you guys see this? Or I was surprised that no one noticed this. You know what I'm saying? Give us something from the minds of the creators and not something that has been cued by a question from a spectator or a viewer, I should say. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but we'll see what's yet to come. I know that they have a long time until the season returns. But let's talk about that real quick. My brother, now, you know, I've been planning an intervention with you, but because I think you got to let it go. I think you got to let the alternate ending go, but I want to hear your thoughts on it now. It's not Christmas yet. You told us to give you until Christmas to get at least down to 20%. But where are you now and how you feel.
Okay, so look, after watching the interviews with the showrunners, I actually believe, and this is going to sound very tinfoil, but I believe that they left clues throughout their interviews that actually suggests that an old ending is more likely to me than less likely after watching it, is all I would say. And the part that intrigued me the most really was when Jeff Pinkner starts off the interview. First, he drops in some keywords, and Real will agree with me here. The words hope and wild are clues on the show that are constantly dropped by the showrunners, the actors. It's on the show itself. You know, wild horses wouldn't stop me. There's references to Oscar Wilde, that sort of thing. So he prefaces it with, "We're wildly hopeful." No, he starts off by talking about rumors online about the show coming out in 2026, and then and he says, "We're wildly hopeful that it will be out sometime." No, he says, "We're wildly hopeful that From will be back on screens in 2025." And then John Griffin corrects him later and says, "Well, actually, season 4 will be filmed all the way up until Christmas, basically, of 2025. So it's probably going to come out in 2026." And then Jeff Pinkner agrees with him readily. He's like, "Yes, it's season 4 is most likely to come out in 2026." But but he says that From might be back on screens in 2025. It was just such a weird thing for someone who definitely knows the filming schedule for 2026 and knows that they're delaying a whole year and a half. And it's in the press release that it's coming out in 2026 for sure. So I just found, again, this sounds very tinfoil to most people. I'm not even looking at the comments because I'm sure some people are like, "Oh my God, when's this guy gonna let this go?"
We got one down there. We always gonna have
That's
one
cool.
of those.
I'm gonna be cool with people mocking me about it, so long as they're respectful.
Yeah, as long as it's respectful, don't disrespect the brothers up here at all, me or him, or really don't disrespect each other down there in the chat. And we all good here. You know what I'm saying? We got ninjas in the chat. You know what I mean? So I mean, you could definitely push back like this right here. This is cool. I love your Taran. I love your theories, but you're tripping about that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, look, here's another thing that you just for fun, right? Just for fun for you guys. When Jack Bender was talking about the finale, he talks about he uses this really weird phrase. I think it's a clue. He talks about it's like Jim's death being like a spring that is sprung. And I just thought that was really interesting that he's dropping the word spring in there. So look, I'm just saying, if there was an old ending and it's coming in the spring, and in 2025, then here's the other thing that I find really interesting. On the calendar, and Real, maybe you could bring it up on the screen. I don't know if you would like to. And look, guys, we're in between seasons. There's not that much to talk about. We've discussed season 3 to death. I hope you don't mind me throwing out some crazy theories about an old ending. And I'm putting it out there because I do genuinely think that there's a chance still. So Real, if you wouldn't mind scrolling down there, you can stay as zoomed in as you are, but if you could just go down to the part that I want to look at. I want us to look at this question mark. Okay, so at the end of March, after March 31st, they put a question mark afterwards, after where the 31st of March would go. And Real actually pointed out, interestingly, that if you zoom in, it looks like the 31st of March isn't even there. And they've scribbled out nothing.
Yeah, okay, so if you see so I can kind of see the 1. I think this might be the 1, and this might be a part of the 3. But it doesn't, it just looks faded or something. It's just scribbled out for whatever.
Yeah, I mean, look, it could be that they've ripped it. It could be an artifact of the image. I've seen, I've tried to decipher numbers, and sometimes when you zoom in, the pixels merge. But I don't know. It's a pretty clear image. So I think you have a point there, Real. I'm just not sure what that might mean as a clue. But anyway, that question mark right there is where April 1st would go on April Fool's Day. So, guys, this is my cope. All right, you can laugh at me all you like. But I do think that there is a slim chance that on April Fool's Day, they will release an old ending. It will open with Ethan saying, "You can't change a story after it's being told." And then it's going to go all the way back to the Thresholds episode. and we're gonna see the real ending play out. This is my theory. Now, real, shall we discuss the solve that I made up there with the
Yeah.
fraction?
Oh yeah,
So
with the fraction.
what is 8 divided by 17?
Point
It's
four point four
0.47.
0.47. So there's another 47. And you know how I feel about those 47s, my people. Like, I've been talking about the 47s and possibly what they could mean. And I'm very perplexed on why they abandoned that in the third season. That dropped in 2024. You know what I'm saying?
So
It's
why would they put this fraction there on this calendar? It's to let us know there is definitely a big clue on this calendar. Pay attention. And the only two things that I'm seeing being signaled here is the 30th of March and the 1st of April, right? Because they've circled the 30th, and that might just be this is a clue to the number 30. You know, it could be as simple as that. But in terms of dates, like for example, on the show, they say, oh my God, how far is it from here? 30, 40 minutes. So the word 30 is used once on the show. But and I think that there's a couple of number plates that have it. Oh no, here we go. How long were you in the military? Almost 30 years. We've got 30 minutes left of daylight. Oh my God, we're 30, 35 out.
mhm.
What else? Yeah, so that's a lot of uses of 30. So it may just be another clue to the number 30. But the question mark on April 1st, you know, that is an interesting clue. So what can I tell you about April 1st? Well, April Fool's Day, some people believe that the origins of April Fools comes from a tradition called the Feast of Fools. And isn't it interesting, Real, that I have previously said that I believe the Feast of Fools is one of the celebrations that happens in the wintertime in Newfoundland, or maybe the Easter time, actually, in Newfoundland. In fact, it would be the Easter time, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
In Newfoundland, while John Cabot's colony are marooned there. So
Mm.
I think that it may be a clue to the Feast of Fools and nothing else. But I think that there's a slim chance that if there is an alt ending, and you know, there's, for me personally, as a writer, as a theorist, as someone who analyzes the show, as someone who has been watching every single interview the actors have done and picked up on every hint that they've dropped, you know, it just and also just like all the things that they set up in the first half of the season that got no payoff. Ethan eyeing the gun that Boyd confiscates from Victor, and then they show us where it's hidden. You know, Kenny preparing like tons of Molotov cocktails ready to go. That's not seen anywhere. And the actors and the showrunners, guys, if you do decide to do a deep dive and watch all the interviews with the actors, look out for them using these words. Bang, goes off with a bang. It's a slow fuse. It's explosive. It's dynamite. They are using these phrases constantly. And I know that you can say, oh, this is just coincidence, you're reading too much into it. All I'll say is, you know, I've watched all these things and it keeps coming up. It just keeps coming up. So anyway, I'm just saying they've left all these hints for things, and then the end of season 3, very little of it paid off at all. And there's just so many holes. Like, we're going to have an awkward love triangle now between Tabitha, Henry, and Jade, and I guess the ghost of Jim, who's going to be returning based on what the actor said in his goodbye Instagram post, which didn't even use the words goodbye. It said see you on the next one. And then in the comments, the entire Matthews family pretty much are all like, we're sure we'll see you again, basically. And making daddy jokes as well, because they've been joking about how Jade is everyone's daddy now, as a consequence of this new weird situation. And they mock it quite a lot in their in some of their interviews, interestingly, when they're together. Not like when they're doing an interview one-on-one, but when they're all hanging out together, you can tell that this is like an inside joke that they have, this like daddy joke. And even mommy, the word mommy, they start throwing that around as well. But yeah, so sorry to go on this ramble, guys. Hope it wasn't too boring. But basically, this April Fool's clue here, I think might mean that something is going to happen on April Fools, maybe in 2025, especially with Jack Bender dropping hints like spring in his interview. So that's my thinking there. I know you guys don't think that. Some of you don't think that the actors and the showrunners and the script and the transcript and the dialogue hides clues using keywords, but I'm pretty certain of it. And that's where having watched all the interviews, I'm concluding.
Okay. And now I also talked about April Fools as well. April Fools is the original New Year. Because April Fools is in the spring when the year becomes new. You see, when everything is new. The springtime is when everything is new. I even broke this down in one of my videos about why this was referenced and why this was brought up. So we know about the song "Who by Fire" is actually in the soundtrack for From, right? The song "Who by Fire," and it was one of the songs that was playing on the jukeboxes in the diner. Okay, now the "Who by Fire" song is inspired by the Unatana Tokep, which is a poem that is recited on High Holy Days. And I brought this up in my Yellow Brick Road video, and I talked about how there's so many mentions of getting high on the show. And we get to the episode where Kenny is in the cabin with Christy and Jade after she got caught in the bear trap. And he's sitting by the fire, and he brings up writing letters to the dead on high holidays in Chinese culture. And the holiday that he is referencing is Tomb Sweeping Day. Now, Tomb Sweeping Day happens in the first week of April, most of the time on April Fool's Day. And it's also when the New Year is celebrated for them at that time. The reason why is, so here's a question mark right here, okay? Kenny brings up a holiday that literally falls on the date of this question mark, right? And then you have also the 47 that you spotted out, you know, with the 0.7 being the answer to this division problem, right? We could even see where there was some carrying going on up here. So yeah, this is a division problem, right? So you have Kenny bringing up the high holiday, which is April 1st, right? But then you have the 7, 8, 9, and 10 months, and we are actually in the 10th month, right? Because it's December. Now, if you know anybody, you know anything about certain phonetics in the English language, DEC represents 10, like decade, deci, decimal, all of those represent tens, right? And so when you look at the word September, sept means 7, oct in October means 8, nov means 9, dec means 10. So 11, 12, and 13, there are actually 13 moons in a year. We get a new moon 13 times every year. The word month comes from the word moon. It actually derives from the word moon, or moon day, or actually Monday, right? And so it comes right after the Sunday and the moon day. And so that reference, as far as this right here is speaking, is bringing up the 13 months. They're also talking about how I believe Chinese New Year is also celebrated in the spring. Am I right about that? Chinese New Year?
I believe that in 1498, when I think we actually see Chinese New Year celebrated because of a fireworks maker who joins John Cabot's journey to Newfoundland, it's the year of
the spring.
Yeah, it's the year of the goat in 1498, interestingly enough. And of course, we have many goat references on the show.
Okay, so the Chinese New Year is also known as the Lunar New Year. And as I said, there are 13 lunar phases in a year. You know what I'm saying? So these 13 lunar phases give us 13 months. This is why if a woman was to count her periods throughout the year, she would see that she got 13 of them in that year. And so even cultures way back, even far as ancient Africa, like the Dogons or the Ishango tribe, used to use the woman's menstrual cycle to gauge time. And then they started realizing that those menstrual cycles for every woman in the tribe would begin to fluctuate with the moon and the lunar times, right? This is where we even get the invention of prime numbers. You can look this up. There's a bone called the Ashango bone, and it's actually a human bone with notches on it that actually this bone can act as a calculator that can calculate very complicated math problems. It's like a bone that they would mark notches on it, and it's where we get our prime numbers from in mathematics. So, you know, the shit that they was dropping in here. Now, I don't know if these guys understand that these are the things that these nuances connect to. I'm not trying to give them credit for being like super into that kind of stuff. However, when they make those kind of esoteric references, this is where this type of shit leads. And if you have been making those types of esoteric references, and there are people that are able to follow along with those esoteric references, and this is a part of your theme, then you're going to see these things reoccurring. You see what I'm saying? It's just as simple as how people figured it out, that that's where we got prime numbers from. It's just that simple. So if you're watching a television show and they're using that as a part of their framework, then you're going to see these things reoccurring. So I look at it more in the esoteric sense. It would be fucking amazing if I wake up on April Fool's Day and there's an episode of From on MGM Prime. I would fucking flip and I'd be like, yo, that boy Taran was right. Now, do I believe that? I think it's highly unlikely.
It's highly unlikely. It is highly unlikely.
Highly unlikely.
It is highly unlikely. I agree.
You know,
but the alternative is that I lose a little bit of faith in the showrunners. So for now, I'm keeping hope alive. And occasionally, guys, you're going to have to put up with me throwing out some old ending theories. And it's fun, guys.
You know what? We had to put up with motherfuckers. Yo, you know what? I want to say this to everybody out there. If y'all got a problem with this theory and y'all didn't have a problem with Elgin being Fatima and Ellis's child, go fuck yourself. I mean, what else can I say? Like,
to be fair though, I'm sure most of these guys had a problem with that theory as well. Because
yeah,
I had a
problem with it. I had a problem with it, but I was cool with it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's true. I wasn't like, well,
nah, we laughed at it, bro. We laughed at it several times on the phone.
But we didn't.
We laughed at it on the live streams. Like,
that's true, but we didn't go after the people that like had like taken ownership of it. I don't even know who came up with it, to be honest.
I don't know who said that, who came up with it.
Can I tell you something? You know how my theory was for a long time? I don't know if it still is. It was the most liked theory on Reddit for quite a while. And what surpassed me, what I had to surpass, or maybe it was actually just above me. Anyway, it was the Elgin is Fatima's time travel baby. Fatima,
that was hilarious. That was a hilarious. Now we know for sure. Like, they shitted all over that theory in season 3. Like,
yeah. I mean, look, if it was the case, would you agree with me, Real, that whoever the casting director is for From, they're doing a fantastic job?
I wouldn't agree with you if that was the case. No.
But what I'm saying is, like,
hell no. Because Elgin does not look like the product of Fatima and
I'm saying in reality, right? They're doing a fantastic job currently.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I'm saying if Elgin was Fatima and Ellis's time travel baby, that would make the casting director terrible, right?
it would totally make it
So
terrible.
it doesn't fit. It doesn't fit, right?
Right. Yeah, because we don't really have too many people to judge the phenotype of the cast. Like we have Ellis, and we know that he's the product of Boyd and Abby, and he that works. Him that how he looks, his hair, his skin color, all of that shit works. Kenny and his parents, I mean, that's a given. They all look Chinese, right? Um, but we don't have anybody else. We don't have
You know, he
anybody
was
else in
originally
comparison.
Vietnamese. He was originally Vietnamese in the original script.
And that's crazy because that still doesn't. All right, so people, you know what? I want to say this real quick. People are saying that the theory are wrong about history, and let me ask you a question. They're saying this based on season 3. What in season 3 would negate the historical parts?
Oh, no, it's way more historical. We literally see a little girl from history based on the clothes she's wearing, and she's alive. She's not some weird ghost vision. It's like a literal flashback or memory from what we can tell, right? So, can I just say quickly that I want to shout out Delcinia, who has not been well recently, and I'm very glad to hear that she is back fighting fit, and it's always nice to see Delcinia in the chat, being the hero that she is. And I don't think that Real and I could really do what we do without someone like Delcinia, tidying up behind us basically, and it's a very thankless role. So shout out to Delcinia for that.
Let me comment. Let me respond to Mika's comment real quick. She said, "I'm only on this because of Taran. I love Taran. Not sure why the Real guy is hating on E-Man's interviews. There's nothing wrong with debunking theories. Sheesh. I never said there was anything wrong with debunking theories. I was talking about and I wasn't hating on E-Man's interview. As a matter of fact, everybody go check out E-Man's interview. I said that the first time I brought it up. But
he's a great interviewer.
but I think it's kind of crazy saying that I'm not pretty much trying to say that they're not here for Real Enigmas and Theories, but you on Real Enigmas and Theories channel. Like, yeah, all right, that you just make yourself look corny in the chat with that. But it's all good. I much respect. I don't mind pushback. See, it wasn't disrespectful, but I can definitely just respond to that and say that first of all, I'm not a hater. I don't hate on nobody shit at all. But I just we're talking about how the showrunners were conducting themselves in interviews. So it wasn't about E-Man and his style of interviewing. I'm talking about what I'd like to see more from the showrunners, with them pretty much giving us their thought process with the breadcrumbs, saying, hey, did you guys check this? Did you see this? Or I wonder why somebody didn't peep this or show this, because they actually kind of stayed away from interviewing for seasons 1 and season 2. So
they have been hiding. They have been hiding. Can I tell you something real? I think the reason why the showrunners have finally come out of the shadows is because, and this is based on something Pega Ghaffori, who plays Fatima, said in the Instagram live, which I only managed to see like 2/3 of it. Unfortunately, Justin, by the way, was the one who recorded it. He's in the chat right now. He's the one who recorded it and let me watch it. And they actually mentioned my theory in it, which was really cool. First time I've heard it mentioned. Anyway, Pega Ghaffori, she says to John Griffin while he's on the live, like, what's it like to be in the hot seat kind of thing. That wasn't the phrase she used, but it was something she said. I can't go back and find where she said it now, but she says something along those lines to John Griffin. And I think that basically the actors have been getting a hard time for dropping too many hints in some of their interviews every now and again. And so they said, well, why don't you try it? Let's see you do it. Let's see you be in the hot seat and get the hard questions from the chat, from the interviewers. So I think they've come on because it's like, it's only fair. These poor actors are, they're jumping on, they're having to answer questions about, a show that's really secretive, and they don't want to spoil stuff and they don't want to give too much away. So I think that's pretty interesting as well. And in terms of E-Man, I think he was asking the hard questions, and I gotta respect him for that.
Yo,
You
I
know,
respect him because he was asking the questions that other people and his viewers wanted to hear. So,
exactly.
yeah, you know what I'm saying? I wasn't specifically talking about one
Oh,
interviewer. I was
oh yeah,
talking
no,
about
no.
yeah, I was talking about the
No.
3 J's pretty much.
Yeah. We don't need to. You cleared that up. You cleared that up. I'm just saying in general. Just speaking about the interviewer style in general, I would just say I have watched a lot of the actor interviews, and they get asked the same questions a lot, and it's kind of boring for me having to hear the same story over and over again. But no one's doing this. No one else is watching all of them, so I totally get it. All I'm saying is that I really appreciate that practically every single one of E-Man's questions was a question that I basically hadn't heard asked before. And I did like seeing the showrunners confronted every now and again.
I liked him putting him
Yeah.
on the spot like that. He put him on the spot. And
Now,
you know what? It definitely speaks to your what you're saying about how the actors had to get out there for the first 2 seasons and do all the interviews. Harold didn't
mhm.
do too many interviews either. And I think that the actors that really don't know what's going on and are kind of in the dark like us were the ones out there doing all the interviews, where Harold knows a little bit more, and of course the 3 J's know a lot more of what's going on. But then one thing that we definitely learned that I think that's an interesting piece of information is that they aren't the only ones who know what's going on. The set designers, you have
The heads
some of
of
the writers.
department, the
Right.
heads of department specifically. So Matt Likely, I used to think there's only 3 people in the world who know the whole thing, outside of MGM execs and Amazon execs. I think his name's Michael Wright, is the top exec at MGM. He seems
Yeah.
like an absolute legend to me, by the way. And he is the guy that we have to thank for From, basically.
Mhm.
And he actually shows up in some of the promo videos for From, where
Yeah,
they
I've seen that.
and anyway, big respect to that guy as well. Pretty brave of them to take on a show like From. It is a huge undertaking. It is a risky strategy. This is an R-rated horror that opens with a little girl on the floor with her rib cage emptied.
Yeah.
That
I
is a
was so
very
surprised when they actually showed the aftermath. I was like, "Whoa, this
that is
show is
courage.
not playing." Yeah.
That
When
this is
they
a
showed a
show.
little girl with her rib cage looking like barbecue, I was I was just like, "Yo," in her gray skin, how her skin was gray, like the
Mhm.
how amazing the special effects team was
Oh
and
yeah,
what they did. Like even her on the body ripped in half on the bed, like blood all over the wall. I was so shocked. And we get this
yeah.
right after Boyd slaps the bullshit out of Frank and takes him up there. And
Yeah, it's true. It doesn't open that way, to be fair. It doesn't open that way. It's probably like a third of the way through the episode. You're right there, real. But still, I try and convince people to watch From all the time. Can I just tell you guys, I talk about From a lot. As you know, it's like my hobby to try and solve it. It's quite fun for me. Just to it's like doing crossword puzzles for me, like in the evening, but it's like more fun because it's like
hey,
historical research and whatever.
yeah.
But oh god, I've lost my train of thought. Um, Never mind.
You were saying about how that wasn't the beginning. It was like, a third of the way in where they showed us the body. And
Oh yeah,
I
yeah.
just
Sorry. So you know that I talk about From a lot, and I try
mhm,
and recruit people to watch it.
mhm.
I have not succeeded to recruit recruit's probably not the right word, but I have not been able to convince anyone I know to watch From, because they say, "Oh, is it horror?" And I say yes, and they say, "Is it gory?" Or "Is it scary?" And I say yes, and they're like, "Okay, it's not for me then." It is it that they really did make a brave decision, to have, because when they ask, "Is it gory?" I have to be like, it is really gory, but like not, I explain to them that it's just the aftermath, but that, you know, it's not, that's not convincing unless you see it on the screen, and I think Anyway, I just think it was very brave of them to do that. But it does make it really hard to get people to watch the show because I think it's way cleverer than just a shock horror, gory thing, and that is what people assume because a lot of gory horror is that. So it is brave of them to
Yeah,
do.
and I
And
try
I
to
wish
get
they
people to
hadn't.
watch it as well. I don't know
I wish
too
they
many
hadn't.
people that watch it. Like, I don't know too many people that watch it. I've turned a couple of people on to it, and people that know that I do YouTube, they say, "Yo, I gotta go watch this show. Your videos is crazy," and they go watch the show. But
That waitress in Providence had watched it.
oh yeah, the waitress, and we met the waitress when we went to Providence. She watched the show, and did she? Oh yeah, she followed me on
It,
on YouTube.
she knew the show. She definitely knew the
She
show.
knew the show. Yeah,
Yeah,
she was like, "Oh okay," because we
which
were
is pretty
shooting.
rare.
Yeah, because we were shooting some content in the restaurant. And she was like, "What are you guys shooting content for?" And we were talking. We told her that we were shooting content for a documentary, and we covered the show from. And
I
she
just,
was like, "I watched that show." Yeah, yeah,
you know what this show needs? This show needs a massive publicity stunt where they
yeah.
release an alternate ending on April Fool's Day.
Nah, I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you, yo,
Sorry.
that would make everybody happy actually, because I'm sure you know what for the people that don't for the people that don't like the alternate ending theory, wouldn't it be great to get a episode of From on on what is it, April Fool's Day, and it be an alternate ending? That would be so crazy. You would be so happy. So that's why I root for it. I root for it. I think it's highly unlikely, but I'm rooting for it. You
Yeah,
know what
and
I'm
let's just
saying?
have some fun between seasons. We got a whole year and a half to theorize, to cope, to rewatch season 3 and make new discoveries. But there's
Yo, I want to say
come on.
this. William just dropped. He said, marketing advertising. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, the Netflix move was great. The Comic-Con move was great, but the marketing advertising really lacks with From. You know what I would love to see, and I'm gonna tell you something that would blow From up, and From would be huge. If we gave Harold Perrineau a spot on, if we got him a spot on Saturday Night Live, and they did a whole bunch of, there's a bunch of funny things in From to make jokes about, like the slap, like Frank getting slapped. It would be fire to see Harold Perrineau on an episode of Saturday Night Live and them doing some From skits. You know what I mean? I think there's enough people. Yeah, MGM does kind of suck at advertising because they got a lot of fire ass shows and stuff that they don't really advertise very great. But SNL would be real dope. If they did SNL, that would take From numbers through the roof. All they need to do is focus on all of the funny shit. I mean, you even have Fatima laying an egg. Man, there's so much they could do with that. You know what I'm saying? There's so much they could do with that. And the monster, you could have a skit where Boy kills the monster. That's a funny skit because he's looking at it like my blood is your blood, motherfucker. You could have it, he could come bounce out and start, it would be really dope and it would blow the show up. You know what I'm
But
saying?
I can't speak to the advertising because I imagine they're not really targeting the UK who don't even have season 3 yet. So I can't speak to how effective the advertising is because I am not the target market. Americans are at the moment, I imagine, maybe Canadians too. But in terms of the social media and community outreach of the show, I think they do a fantastic job.
Well,
But the community outreach is fantastic. It just is.
yeah,
The social media posts, they're funny, they're tongue in cheek, they drop clues, they drop hints, they comment on other people's Instagrams. I think that's pretty good as well. So I can't fault the social media. I can't fault the community outreach. In terms of advertising, these days, unfortunately, to advertise TV shows and films, it's just it's a money war. It's not you can't be clever about it. It's just like, do you buy the ad space or not? So I think what I would like to see more from is publicity stunts and guerrilla marketing.
yeah,
That's
I
what I
would.
would like.
That would be the illest publicity right there. Would be the SNL thing. I think that they rely a lot on the YouTubers, and this is why they don't do any copyright strikes on YouTube channels for using. I mean, I've seen just, I mean, even when I first started, I was using a lot of video footage in my videos, like rarely still images of the show. It was video footage. I'm playing like whole parts of whole lines that I want people to hear with the video, and I've not gotten one copyright strike from them for my videos. I did get one copyright strike from, and it was when I figured out the sound bite from Kelly's being stuck to the tree was what we were hearing in the barn. When I figured that out, I got a copyright strike, but the very next day they released it and I was able to re-upload the video. But I think they got that because I think they copyright strike me there because they didn't want anybody to know that at the time. And then they was probably like, fuck it, let him go. He figured it out. And boom, they let it drop. But that's the only time I got copyright strike from. So, you know, shout out to that. I think they're relying on the engagement. And for that matter, I think that they've actually created the show in an engageful way. Like they made it as a something to solve and something to ponder on, so that when you watch it, you run straight to YouTube and go see what people are talking about.
All right, here's an idea. Okay, imagine From has a whole set up in Halifax, right? Imagine if they got YouTubers, like influencers, right? People with YouTube channels, and they invite them to From Town, but they don't tell them what show they're promoting. They don't tell them what they're doing there. And then they have all the monsters come out, like the actual actor monsters, as a prank and start walking towards them creepily and see how they react. And they film it all and release it as a viral clip, and all the YouTubers do as well.
Yo, you know, I'm gonna tell you something. Do you know The Walking Dead? There was a scene where they had the little girl and Carol had to kill the little girl. You remember that, where she said, just look at the flowers?
Oh, yeah, because she kills her sister or something.
Right. Well, she did something. I forget what she did, but she
thinks that when you kill someone and they come back as a zombie, it's a good thing. So she kills her.
Yeah, because she was outside playing with one of the zombies, like juking and running around. And like, it would have been so funny to see somebody do that on From, like, because them shits be walking, you know what I'm saying? And it would have been like funny to see somebody try to break one of the slow monsters' ankles real quick and run around him real quick. Like, that would have been hilarious. Hit him with a little Allen Iverson move real quick and dip around him. Like, why didn't anybody do that yet? That would have been hilarious.
That's the sort of thing that I think they should be doing, because you can't compete with these big brands with their massive ad spends and their inbuilt audiences. Like Netflix, they barely need to advertise anymore because their audience has been trained to just look at the recently added, you know. That's why they watch, that's how they consume content. MGM, you got to go to Amazon, you got to do an additional subscription. You know, to be fair, I don't really know how it works out there with you guys, but you know, I know that it's an extra step. I know it's a smaller channel, it's a smaller brand. You know, so and I gotta say, MGM's content has been pretty fire lately. They're making some brave choices, and I gotta respect them for it. I'm enjoying what they're putting out. It's a broad variety. They're not targeting teens or children. They're going straight for adults, and they're going for these niches that you know, that some people really like, and maybe they're like, well, I consume all the sorts of content that MGM puts out, so that's my additional subscription. So, but you know, good luck to them. I think they're doing a great job, really. Now, Real, I have a question for you, which is this: do the showrunners lie in the interviews?
Yeah, yeah, they do. Of course. Why wouldn't they?
So, for example, when E-Man asks asks Jeff Pinkner, I think it was, is Eloise Eloise Tabitha? And then he sort of thinks for 2 seconds, and then he says no, right? And then E-Man's like, great, that's put to bed now. And I'm like, I gotta say, E-Man, I'm sorry, it's not put to bed, because if Eloise was Tabitha, they're not gonna say yes. And they're not gonna say, well, let's wait and see. Because, look, I'm just saying, I think that the direct questioning isn't quite right, because you never. I mean, the only thing I could say is it's great to see their reaction and try and read it. You know, the pause that Jeff Pinkner took, for example, before he answered the question, you could read into that a little bit. So I actually really enjoyed the confrontational, direct challenge. I'm just saying, I don't think we can take their answers as a given, is all I would say. And that's why I asked you that question, Real, because I wanted to know whether you think a direct question answered by the showrunner means that we must believe it and take that as canon. Because I don't think it's possible for the showrunners of a mystery show being asked about their mystery with direct confrontational questions can ever be 100% honest, unless they do a really boring interview where they just say maybe to everything.
Maybe, and I can't answer that, and maybe you'll have to wait and see. They did a little bit of that, though.
They did some of that.
That's what my point is. That's what my whole point was, because, like, we're getting the theories debunked, but we're not getting any like rhyme and reason behind some of the decisions that you guys made without having somebody have to ask a really great question. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's where I'm coming at. And I get it, and I understand why. Because shit, they just came off the porch doing interviews. Season 1, season 2, they totally didn't do it at all. Now, I pulled this up real quick because I wanted to make a point real quick. There's some people out there that are saying that Fatima didn't lay an egg, and I'm gonna put that to bed real quick. Humor me for a moment, Taran.
I used to lick eggshells.
Yeah, I mean, here it is right here, coming out of Bacchus' mouth.
Like everything she went through in her belly and how it went concave, and then like the egg. Oh, girl. The rotten food was she went through in her belly and how it went concave, and then like the egg. Oh, girl. The rotten.
Okay, so we heard it right there.
There is the mockery. There is the mockery.
There it is right there. And even Fatima laughs when she says egg and repeats it. She was like, the egg. You see what I'm saying? So for everybody saying that she didn't lay the egg, you're wrong, right? So that's your body bag, that whole thing. I'm getting a lot of hatred. Like, yo, people was like, yo, she didn't lay an egg. You're reaching, this and that. And I'm like, no, it's not a reach at all. I mean, what is the human placenta if it's not a soft egg? It's holding a child inside. It's holding a young inside. It's holding the offspring inside of it. It's an egg. She laid an egg. She gave birth to the whole placenta, which was crazy as hell, by the way. Like, I mean,
it's an egg, guys. Eggs are a clue on the show. Fatima laid an egg, guys. She laid an egg. Fatima laid an egg. She laid an egg. She laid an egg.
I don't know. Like, it's like,
Can I throw some tinfoil at you?
Go ahead. I need that.
So did you know that only in season 3 they made a big deal of this table read that they all did, where they got the main cast from the finale all together in a room. It was a conference room, and they all did a table read of the finale together. And they go on about it, and there's pictures on all their social media of them all sitting around this table. And I'm going to throw this out there. I have said that I think that this finale that we watched wasn't even really written by John Griffin and Jeff Pinkner. I actually think that the actors together wrote this alt ending, if there is one. Okay, sorry. Now, I do want to raise something else. If you weren't, are you finished with your thought, Reel? Were you trying to talk about something, or can I throw something else?
No. Wait. You just can't throw no tinfoil at me like that. And not let me respond to the tinfoil.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, please.
Right. So I got to take that tinfoil. I'm making a hat out of that. Okay. I loved it. I felt the same way. Did it feel like fan fiction?
I
felt like it was fan service. I felt like they wrote a fan service season. Everybody been asking who threw the rope. We got that. Everybody been saying, why don't they ever talk about capturing a monster? We got that. Everybody's saying, We need to see what the monsters do when they kill people. We haven't been able to see that yet. We got that. There's so much. People are saying, I want Smiles Davis back. We got that. You see what I'm saying? That was a fan service season, and it was purposely done like that. That's the brilliant
You think the tarot
part.
cards were fan service too?
The fan service for the tarot cards. It was a fan service season. So that tinfoil is wrapped around my cap right now.
Not to speak too highly of myself, but the tarot card theory was the #1 theory on Reddit.
It was.
So if they are doing fan service, I'm sorry, but they would chuck some tarot cards in, right? Because
they would have to, and they did that.
Mm-hmm.
They even did the Tarot-fying October.
And something Justin pointed out earlier that I don't know, I think I might have told you this, Real, but in case I haven't, let me mention it. In all of John Griffin's interviews, he says and he claims that that he doesn't really watch, he really doesn't read any of the theories online or spend any time online reading the theories. And what's funny was in Jack Bender's interview, he says, I don't really spend a lot of time reading the theories online. I know John does.
But John does. And John said it before in interviews last year, or like something. I heard him say it out of his mouth that he's read a couple of the theories.
I think he said something along the lines of, "We know the questions that the community are asking," or something along those lines, which suggests that he knows what is going on the theory boards. So, look, John Griffin is paying attention. Whatever he says, I'm sorry, Jack Bender, you let it slip. John Griffin, this is his life's work. This is his magnum opus. He wants it to be a success. He wants to continue making shows. He wants to make a spin-off of From. That's something that Jeff Pinkner and John Griffin have said is always a possibility. Something that they have plans for if they can.
Oh, MJ Jones said he used to. He said he used to, but he stopped. And I do remember him saying that he
really?
did. I remember him saying that he's read theories, and then Jack Bender said that he does too, but he's saying that he stopped. Okay. But I mean, I didn't catch that in the interview though. I didn't catch him saying that.
I've rewatched the E-Man interview and the Sci-Fi Vision interview, which is also really good. It's a softer interview. I like the way Sci-Fi Vision's interviews work is she really lets them talk freely. It's kind of like who's that guy? That guy Joe Rogan is famously successful because he lets the people that he's interviewing talk for really long periods of time, and he just kind of guides the conversation. Whatever you think of him, I don't really have an opinion either way. But the point is that she uses a similar technique where she really does give them this freedom to speak broadly and widely. While E-Man's is a lot more like, let's get you focused on the topic at hand, which is also very much appreciated. So, it's different styles, but both very good.
Yeah, and that's why I like the fact that they will get on people's channel despite of how many subs they have. Because you're gonna get that from different different hosts. You see what I'm saying? So that's why I respect that. You know what I mean? I don't believe them. I don't believe nothing they say. I don't trust none of the interviews. You know what I'm saying?
You got to read their expressions more than anything, is what I find. I will say that
in their gestures.
They might scratch their nose when they're saying something, and it might
scratch their temple.
Yeah, I mean, look, I know that sounds crazy, but I do genuinely believe that occasionally they will scratch their nose when they're saying I'm lying, or they're saying pay attention.
And it's not just one of them, it's like all of them.
Yeah.
It's like all of them. I think that's something that they do in Hollywood.
I think Jack Bender does it the least, believe it or not. Jack Bender, Justin says Jack Bender is the most honest. I agree with that as well.
That's a very good point.
He is being told off, it seems, by Jeff Pinkner, interestingly, for talking too much.
Yeah, okay. So when I asked my egg question about the egg plate in Tien Chen's death scene, he answered and he said, yeah, the egg plate was deliberate because it was something cultural, right? And then uh John
The
Griffin,
plate
not
itself.
John Griffin, Jeff Pinkner comes in and says, "Oh, it had nothing to do with like culture, and if we got that right, then wow, yay for us," or something like that. Like he totally, you know, he totally uh contradicted what Jack Bender's answer was, because he was the one that first started answering my
Yeah.
question.
But
And
either way, that was almost definitely placed there by Matt Likely.
okay, so that's what we were talking about earlier, as far as other people knowing what the show is going to, where the show is going. And you said that it's the heads of the departments, each head of the department, like the
Yeah.
set designer and
Yeah.
people like
Head
that.
of art, I imagine.
Right. So they, I would say that they know, and they put that in there. There's no way that that's not what that was.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I
Mhm.
literally found the actual egg plate that they used. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. I think Matt Likely, Devil is a clue on the show. It's one of the cards in the tarot set. Also, I found it really interesting that Fatima says that she's just fooling around with
Okay.
that redhead that she makes out with. And obviously we have April Fools here, and we have the Fool card in the tarot set.
Say
So,
what? The redhead that she makes out with.
Fatima makes out with a redhead in season 2, and then Julie tries to kiss her afterwards.
Oh yeah.
Julie asks her
Okay.
for a kiss, asks her why she's making out with the redhead. She says, "We're just fooling around." Yeah, Stacy, well done, Delcinia. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Justin says he loved Jack Bender's expression on the alien theory, debunking it. Real, shall we play it and see what people think?
Yeah. Hold on. Let me find it.
I sent you the link with a timestamp if you scroll up on the WhatsApp when he talks about that theory.
All right. Hold on. Let me get it together real quick.
R.I.P. Joe Rogan. Did he die? Oh, it's like a meme. It's a meme to shock people. Not funny.
Yeah, that's not funny.
Yeah, Justin seems to watch as many interviews as I do. Justin, have you noticed the showrunners and actors using words like "it's the bomb," "gone off with a bang," "it's the fuse has been lit," "it's explosive," that sort of thing? I wonder if you've noticed anything like that.
Oh, can you see it?
Yeah. Can we hear it? Is the question.
That's fine. That's fine.
Can you hear it?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
right now, the Matrix simulation is out there.
Yeah, I would stand by. It's not purgatory, and it's not a dream or a nightmare. And I would say that at this point, it could be anything anybody sees or thinks it is.
Okay, so aliens could be on the table. Maybe.
If somebody believes aliens are controlling it or aliens are their aliens, let them live and be well. I'm not going to go there. I would say, non-denial denial, which is kind of like, yeah,
that's fine.
Yeah.
That is fine. Now I believe,
Jack Bender has such a lovely smile as well. I know that's a random thing to say, but it is so it makes you want to grin as well. It really does.
Yo, nah, for real. I don't know how to feel about that. I feel like anything that you do, ask them. That's why I don't like to see their time getting taken up with that. You know what I mean? Like, all right, for instance, they're not going to tell you anything. Yeah.
But we're talking about it, right? We're talking about the reaction and the facial expression and the confrontation.
Right. So that's where I respect them being put on the spot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's why I totally, you know what I'm
Oh yes.
saying?
Check out Justin. Justin says he's also noticed the bang references, the explosive, all that stuff. That's great.
Where's that at?
It's in the chat.
Who said that?
Justin White. It's right at the bottom, right at the
I've
very
definitely
bottom.
noticed the intentional. Yeah, okay, the way they talk, the way they write. Yeah, they definitely say these words that it seems like they talk about together a lot,
Yeah.
and it
But, you know,
seems like they've developed their own lingo around this show for sure.
But this is not us attacking Tony's alien theory, but it was the only theory that Jack Bender had a sort of facial reaction to. So we would have done this for any
I
theory.
mean, he's gonna do that.
And
That's what I'm saying.
A great
And the
actor.
alien, because you know what, I tend to think that the show is gonna be on some shit where a lot of people get everything right. Everybody gets something right, and I think aliens might be a part of it. Because if you talking about fallen angels and shit like that, that's aliens, yo. Like, you know what I mean? As far as the lore itself, I mean, it doesn't appear as so, or some people don't look at it as that, but I mean, that's definitely what that is. I mean, technically anybody's God is an alien, right? Because if you're not from Earth, and I'm sure if you created Earth, you're not from it, right? You can't build a house and say I was born there. You know what I'm saying? So God would be an alien. So I mean, there's deities at play here, all kinds of shit. So when you want to be technical, super technical, like, yeah, it doesn't really throw it out the water. And if it was aliens, I would want my response to be just like his response was, because of the simple fact I would be trying to throw people off. Be like, nah, it's not that. And then it turns around and it's that, but it's a fire interpretation on it. Like, they just can't do, my thing with the aliens is they just can't do it the way they do everything else. Like, come on. We shouldn't get it the way that we get aliens from every other TV show.
Well, I've got a quote for you, Real, that I would like your analysis on. Okay? So this is Jack Bender, who says that this process took 40 minutes. He said that in a different interview. He said the first time John told him what From was about and what was going on, I'm going to give you an exact quote, I think. John launched into an incredibly detailed, I kept picturing a professor at a blackboard in a tweed sport coat going down this endless list in a history class of going back. John had figured out the whole Rubik's Cube puzzle. At a certain point, I got slightly dizzy with the passage of time, and I had to say, we gotta stop. I mean,
yeah.
What does that sound like to you? I mean, my theory has a lot of lists of historical characters, historical figures, historical timelines. This sounds like the origins of From are buried deeply in multiple historical periods, and John Griffin has a story that works its way through all of them. Whether you believe in an alternate ending or not, we have this reincarnation thing that would suggest that this goes back in time. We have people from Puritan times. We have people from the Civil War era. We've got all sorts of different time periods telegraphed in the paintings and in the figures that we're seeing as ghosts or apparitions, being seen by the actors. Yeah. So, I just think anyone's theory that doesn't include a lot of history that goes back a very far way, not just to the 60s, okay? Like some people are suggesting that this is just in the 50s and 60s, a town who had a milkman and a cheerleader and whatever, sacrificed their kids for eternal life. And there's some sort of reincarnation thing that goes back to that time or maybe further back. But I just think that this has to go back a really far way. It has to involve multiple.
Yeah, if they do that, that'll be crazy. Then I don't think they'll do that. Okay, so I think every not every season, but in Jade's visions, first we got the Civil War soldier. That was the first real historical thing we saw. other than the esoteric stuff, there was a lot of esoteric stuff that points to history. But then you have the Puritan guy that we saw, you know what I'm saying, drinking from the skull and whatnot, and the memento mori, stuff like that. I think that it definitely has something to do with history. And for the people saying that the history aspects are debunked, because people are saying that I'm wrong about this being about history now, because it's about Jade and old boy being Jade and old girl being reincarnated. But nah, that pretty much puts more to it. That actually solidifies the historical aspects even more, because like you said, if there's something to do with reincarnation, then that implies that there is it goes back into the past. And if Henry was saying that there were multiple visions that Miranda was having, then there would be multiple generations going back into the past. You see what I'm saying? And at what age does the person always end up coming back into Frumland? That would be significant as well, because that would have to do with, like, what if this person came back as a child? What if Tabitha and them came back as children one time to Frumland, and they were reincarnated and they realized it a whole lot earlier? That would be crazy as hell. There's so many different dynamics that they can take with this, but they have. Now let's get to the real shit. Let's talk some real shit. You ready? You ready, Taran?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Let's talk some real shit. What are they going to do with this reincarnation narrative now?
I'm going to be honest.
Are they going to show us any of that? Because
terrible.
That will be, they have written themselves into a very difficult mistake that they've made with the reincarnation.
Jack Bender even admitted it in his interview. He literally said, he said we've dug ourselves a deep hole.
Okay. So what was the context that he said that in?
It was something to do with I can't remember off the top of my head, so I don't want to I don't even remember if they used the word deep or not. I'd have to rewatch the interview. And I'm guessing at the context, but I think the context was about how much was improvised and how much is planned. And how much they flex.
What they flexed is the problem.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
How can you have time travel and reincarnation? For me, that's messy. How can you have a love triangle between an old man, a former lover, and your husband just died? Very messy, and even the actors said it's going to be so awkward. 3 episodes. What was season 3? Unfortunately, season 3 had 3 episodes of Ethan and Julie grieving. Here's the real part that they're going to have a problem with. This is the real part they're going to have a problem with. Showing us Jade and Tabitha before they were Jade and Tabitha. Because no one's we've talked about this before. And you said this. No one's going to look at the screen with 2 different actors and feel the same way we feel about Jade and Tabitha. Absolutely. They're the 2 hardest actors to replicate.
They're the 2 hardest actors to replicate, like if you were to do some sort of body switching. Because you have the accent from Tabitha, and you have Jade's pizzazz. Yeah.
100%. That pizzazz is the word. I mean, I kind of see Jade a little bit like Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man. It's very hard to replicate. They tried. From my understanding, Captain Marvel was supposed to replace him and use his. It was like her personality. I heard this. I don't know if it's true. Was modeled on Robert Downey Jr.'s personality to try and sort of make this transition from the old guard to the new guard, and it really didn't work. It just didn't play right. And I think, so if we're having these different, for example, right, here's a question, Real. So Jade has been seeing Christopher, and supposedly he's the reincarnation of Christopher. But what other monsters or what other historical figures has Jade seen? He's seen a guy crushed by a boulder. He's seen a black Civil War soldier, and he's seen this guy with a spike through his eye.
Mhm.
So
And he didn't just see a black Civil War soldier. The Confederate soldiers were hanging in the tree. It was contextual.
yeah, so
What
maybe he's
what does
having
a bunch of
memories.
bodies hanging in a tree say to you?
I mean, I think it's a sign to the hanged man because Jim is climbing the tree at that point. But I also think maybe it's a clue to, the hanging upside down. So maybe it's a clue to Odin in the Viking timeline. I think it's, if this is reincarnation, maybe it is. Maybe it is. Maybe I'm wrong. It's just not a favorite trope of mine. I don't want to, criticize the showrunners too much. It's a choice. It's a real choice. I just don't know if it works at the same time as time travel. And I'm just worried about it.
Yeah, reincarnation and time travel is a problem.
So would you believe that black Civil War soldier and the guy with the spike through his eye and the guy who was crushed by a boulder are all going to be played pretending that those actors are the reincarnations of Jade, and we're going to see those timelines?
That would be fire. That would be fire.
So here's the other question: was Elgin once the Kimono Wraith? Do the genders swap?
Nah, I don't know. Well, Jade was originally a teenage girl in the script.
Yeah, and that's the other confusing thing.
What if the whole reincarnation? Let's say the reincarnation thing was always what they were going to do, which I don't think it was. I think that's something that they threw in there. I think that's something that they changed last year. But let's say it was. So what that would have been was this girl would have been reincarnated from a man that had a baby with Tabitha. Right?
Say that
right?
again.
Say it again. Okay. So if Jade would have been a girl as she was in the original script,
yeah,
and the reincarnation thing would have been real. So that would have mean that Jade was a reincarnation of a man that had a pregnancy, a baby with Tabitha.
Well, I guess maybe in the original Jim was the reincarnation of her husband, and they didn't have this weird love triangle thing going on.
That would have been dope.
Yeah,
that would have been dope.
So this is what confuses me. I just don't think that people are going to believe any of these actors are Jade. And the soul of Jade and the vibe.
No, it's not. That's not going. Jade is not. Nobody's going to be able to give the pizzazz as Jade gives. And I mean, your soul, the soul that he brings to that character. I mean, we've seen, aside from Julie's had the most character development. I'd say Jade has the second most character development of the entire show. And it's arguable between the two of them, actually, because Jade came into this thing thinking that it was a panic room, and he was arrogant and pompous, and he said, "Oh, you guys all work for me, so it's okay. I can skip the line. You guys all pretty much work for me." Like, and then he turns into this fucking Einstein, growing his hair and his beard out and shit, and you know what I mean? And by the way, bro, what is your beard regimen, bro? Because how the fuck did he grow a beard so fast? What is this beard regimen? I need to know that.
Yeah, man. It's I'm very worried about the reincarnation. And let's talk about Catalina for a moment. I'm not saying that Catalina's accent. I'm just saying what happens with Catalina's accent is it gives her this certain cadence that we've become accustomed to.
What does Catalina's reincarnate look like?
Well, she hasn't seen.
How do we feel Tabitha through any other actors?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying it's going to be very hard to replicate the cadence of the way she speaks.
It's almost like they picked the two hardest characters to reincarnate, bro.
Yeah, and the most awkward.
The most awkwardly hardest characters to reincarnate. Because who's going to play their reincarnates?
Yeah, it's going to be very, very hard for it to be believable. I mean, can you imagine like a reincarnation of like someone who's very fluent, very very American, and we're supposed to believe that it's Tabitha's earlier incarnation. I guess we're believing that it's Miranda, but we've seen very little of her. I don't know. Maybe it can work. Maybe I'm being too critical, but I think Tabitha. Maybe we can get away with that. To be honest, it's not as hard. Other than the accent, it's feasible. If we can get past that. But with Jade, I don't know, man. I can't see that. Boyd's body double, who plays the Black Civil War soldier. I can't see. I can't see anyone pulling off Jade in a way that would be.
Percy poses a great question. I think you should tackle this one. I think Jade and Tabitha were originally Dutch or French in the beginning. So what do you think about that? The original. So let's just ponder on the reincarnation theory.
There's three people they could be. Three. Tabitha is almost certainly Bridget of York. I believe, if there is an alt ending, that she's probably more likely her ancestor. And I think Jade in this case would be either Sancio Cabot, John Cabot's son, or Juan Borgia, who was the son of the Pope from Italy. I know that sounds crazy, but I believe that those three characters form major parts of the origin story. Major.
Mm-hmm. I think that the original Jade and Tabitha's reincarnates are settlers. That one was a settler. Yeah, no, they were both settlers. I think they were both settlers that came here.
Yeah, I agree with you, because my theory is that all of these people, these historical figures, end up on a ship to Newfoundland with John Cabot.
I think they were, and I can go with the European. I think they were Europeans that came here.
Hey, can I tell you something interesting? In the Spanish version of From, do you know what Tilly says to Fatima in the Spanish version?
Say that again.
In the Spanish version of From, when Tilly dies and Fatima's there with her, what does Tilly say to?
Oh yeah, she said you better run or run.
So, do you know what she?
What does she say in Spanish?
She says, "Run, my princess."
Run, my princess. Wow.
And Bridget of York was a princess of the White Rose.
Wow, that's crazy.
I mean, look, yeah. I'm pretty sure.
Okay,
I'm actually
Joe says
Jade
was Christopher last time. Okay, so we got that. So who was he before Christopher? And then who was he before that? And when were these children sacrificed? Because, and what's going on with the black girl slow walker at the colony house? How does all this play? People, the speculations that I've been hearing from people go farther and farther away from what Fatima actually said.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts on the slow? She said those things that come out at night are people who sacrifice their children so that they could live forever.
Yeah.
So what? So how do we explain the granny slow walker? What, she had a kid that she sacrificed?
Well, I imagine the town collectively sacrificed the children there.
All right, so now we talking. Now, okay, so that speculation goes farther away from what Fatima said. Every speculation around that. That's
why are there only 7 children? If there's a cycle and children are sacrificed in each timeline, then why?
They didn't say that. They didn't say that children are sacrificed in each timeline.
Well, so I suppose only one of them is the daughter, and then maybe 6 more were sacrificed with her, I guess. So
so MJ Jones said the black girl slow walker was unable to be recasted. Okay, so that's okay. So they changed it then. They had to change what the slow walkers are. That's not what they originally are. I believe that they were. That's not what they wrote that in last year. They changed that shit. Because what are they gonna do? The black girl slow walker, what is she now?
Percy Garcia, just to say, they would not have used Roman numerals, I don't think, at this time, to scratch on the wall. I believe that at that point they were using the numerals that we use today. I mean, they would use Latin occasionally in like churches and things, but I'm pretty sure they were already writing the real numbers in I think it's what originally was Arabic numerals that we've adopted and now the world uses.
Yes, yes.
But I think Roman numerals had fallen out of fashion outside of the church, basically at that point, and maybe among like royals and sort of official missives. But in common writings, it would be written as a number. Sorry, that was probably too long debunking that. But yeah.
Yeah, like I don't know. That whole like with the slow walkers, I think shit starts to fall apart when you change something like that.
And it arrives, the information just arrives in Fatima's head, and then she speaks it. That is just classic telling. Classic telling. Now, the showrunners said, well, we thought that what we were doing is we're showing that the monsters are immortal by having Fatima give birth to Smiley. That's the best way of showing it. That's what they said. And I'm like, yeah, maybe that's a good way of showing that. But then having Fatima explain it, and that's how we actually learn this is what's going on, is telling. You know, it's more like, you know, I think it would have been better if that information had come across from the Kimono Wraith, actually. That would have felt a little more. I just think that when you just have that information arrive in someone's brain, it feels, I don't know, lazy. Again, I don't want to criticize the showrunners, but I
Smiley was pure fan service because they rewrote, they rechanged some shit. They put in so much fan service that they said, "Damn, what the fuck are we gonna do?" And so they went for the wildest thing.
Hey, can I ask you a question?
And I was right about Fatima. I was right about Fatima laying an egg was going to become a meme. I mean,
Real. What if they filmed an April Fool's alternate ending while they were filming season 1? Watched it, right? Sorry, not season 1. While they were filming season 3. Yeah, they watched it, right? Thought it was so great, and then they were like, "Hang on, what if instead of doing the normal finale and then in April releasing an April Fool's alternate ending, we actually show the alternate ending now and we release the real version on April Fool's?"
I think that's highly unlikely. The more I think about it, I think that would piss a bunch of people off.
I agree. I think it's a high risk strategy.
It would be highly risky. I think that they should focus on. I think that
But we talked about how they need
the reincarnation thing is a very, very big problem, because now you almost put yourself in a situation where you're gonna have to show us that shit. You're gonna have to show us a Jade reincarnated, a reincarnate of Jade. You're gonna have to show us that with Tabitha. Like, so I think that they're gonna go a total different direction with season 4. I think they're gonna start focusing on those spiders. They're gonna go back to that. They're gonna start going back to the Chromonacle. They're gonna go to what's going on with Eloise, what moved the tent, because that was something that they didn't answer. What's up with those rocks? What's up with the cabins? Whose food was that planted along the shore? All of these things are what they're going to focus on for season 4. I think they're going to start focusing on the rendezvous people. You know, those things are going to be overshadowing that, and they have an out for that. The way out for that is to pretty much have Tabitha and Jade keep it a secret of what this shit is, because the only person that knew was Jim, and he's dead. So they'll probably keep that shit a secret, and that'll be reason why they won't have to touch it. They can have Jade going more crazy now. They can make him go even more crazy. because they have this information that they're probably not going to tell everybody. And they once they have this information that they're not going to tell everybody, they gives them an opportunity for when they interact with Jade, or when we see interactions with Jade, to give us more of that historical shit, more of that the visions that he's having of these soldiers, people drinking out of skulls. Maybe explain how some of that ties in now, before they actually have to get to a point where they're going to have to show us Jade and Tabitha before they were reincarnated into Miranda and Christopher. Because who were they right before that? And then who were they before that? And then who were they before that? This obviously goes back for some history. And this still doesn't negate that the dates in the tower are not dates. You know what I'm saying? Those could still be dates, but it could just be the dates and the years of turmoil is what created this song, is what created this music.
Did the numbers correlate to music?
Did the numbers correlate to music? Not that some of them do. However, it's not clear because they never give you all the numbers, and they did that purposely so no one would be able to go and look at that and see.
Well, they did
However,
release the numbers
it's solvable
online.
because they tell you what the key is, or the code is. The code is 12. So they give you, so they tell you everything. And they literally, like, when you're talking about telling, they literally say, okay, there's 10 numbers here and 2 of them are backwards, so that makes 12. So this is where you can totally like solve that and figure that out, because it was just as easy as how Jim figured it out. What bothered me was that Jade didn't figure that out. That is crazy to me. First of all, he's the smartest one there. So apparently, he's the smartest guy there. He's supposed to be a genius.
And he plays the violin.
And he's a fucking musician. So it doesn't even make sense that he wouldn't have figured that out. It doesn't make sense that they had Jim come in there and figure that out and say, oh, I remember that from my childhood because my mom was a piano teacher. Like,
and right. Apparently,
as they out of nowhere.
Apparently, as they were filming it, David Alpay was writing the numbers.
Oh yeah, I have that written. I have that on the video that I played earlier. I talked about how he talks about how he had to make that shit fit the best way he could.
Dude, I'll send you the picture of him doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, he had to.
I don't know if it's easy for you to bring it up.
Okay, yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
Look at that. Hold on. Yeah, look at that. That's crazy. That's crazy. Okay, yeah, so that's him doing that. He wrote that shit. So he had to say, okay, and piece this in here. But
so it was all made
up. The song that he played was too much for the numbers. Like it wasn't enough slips and papers up there from what we could see. And this is why I'm saying they didn't show us all of the numbers.
It's just a mess. No.
It was really whack. And I'm gonna tell you why, right? Just this picture lets you know how whack that shit is. This is something they came up with on the fly. This wasn't no figured out music theory. This was no music theory that was figured out. This is something that came up on the fly. Bro even said he had a tuning fork. Is that his tuning fork? That's his tuning fork right there.
Yeah.
He said he had a tuning fork to help figure it out to see if his notes was right. So yeah, it is what it is.
All right, I'm gonna go to bed.
There's evidence for people of color existing in England in the early 1500s. Even in the Viking times, there's historical evidence of people in it. Okay, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, there's 2 people of I think I have 4 people of color on the ship with John Cabot to Newfoundland, and they're all all the descendants are there. So there's Kenny's ancestor, a Chinese fireworks maker. There's an Iranian dancing girl, John Cabot's slave. I'm not making these people up. You know,
These are actual historical figures.
Well, one of them is. The other two are people that you can infer from historical events.
So let me ask you a question.
Oh,
Are
yeah,
you
and
still
there's John Blank and Clovid the Moor? These are two real people, two real black men.
all right?
musicians.
So let me ask you again. Here we are since we've had season 3, 30 episodes in. Before you leave, do you still think that the historical figures that you're noticing in your esoteric findings are going to show up on the show?
Yes.
So, and that's why you make statements like Tabitha is Bridget of York.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, Ito is 100% the Kimono Wraith originally, in my opinion. But okay, so before I go,
so you think at some point they're going to say that that's okay, Ito?
Yes, 100%. I do. It's literally the most overused. It's the biggest clue on the whole show is the word okay.
Okay, so what if it stays right there and it never says that? They never explain who this woman is. And
then
why would they do that? Why would they explain that, Taran?
Because she'll literally appear as a character in a time travel portion of the show, in my opinion. I think that all the characters on the show, or the main cast, are going to be scattered through time, in my opinion, and we're going to meet all these historical figures. But that, I don't know how it's going to play out. I see a lot of clues to a lot of historical figures. I don't know how it's going to play out, but I'm certain that we're going to see scores of them, literal scores. But I really should go. I just want to leave you with one thought before I go, Real. Sorry, I can't let you ask me any more questions. I just got to say one.
I want to push back.
Yeah. All right. So just quickly, in the interview, it's really interesting. John Griffin and Jack Pinkner have a little discussion where basically Jeff Pinkner says, I'm going to say something, and if John Griffin doesn't like this, then we can cut it out of the show. And he holds up his hands and he's like, I'm serious. If John wants to cut this, we're going to cut it. All right. And then John sort of furrows his brow and he's like, okay. And then Jeff Pinkner says this. He says, when we filmed season 1, did we know Fatima was going to get pregnant and give birth to a monster? No. When we filmed season 1, did we know that monster was going to that monster was going to be Smiley? No. And then he talks about some other stuff. And then John Griffin's like, I don't know why you thought I wouldn't like me you wouldn't like me saying
right. Yeah, he was like, I don't know why you thought that I would want that cut out. Yeah.
And then Jeff Pinkner sort of leans forward mysteriously and he's like, I'm just leaving it open for the possibility. And I thought that was very, very interesting. They're basically hinting that season 3 might have been improvised. Potentially.
Yeah, it was improvised. They had an overall story for it, and they kind of went along. And I think that is what excited the characters so much, the actors so much. They were very excited, and that's I think that they were a part of something dope that nobody's done before. I think it was fun for them to shoot. I do, like I said, I think my professional opinion is that it was great. Me personally, I didn't really I gave it a lower score than I thought it would have gotten, but professionally, my professional opinion is that they got 100% because they did everything that you would need to do to solidify yourself for multiple seasons to come. They already knew that they had season 4 greenlit, so I think that they know. I think that it's more season. I think they get whatever they want, to be honest.
Yeah. They've probably secretly been greenlit for multiple seasons, but they don't want the fan base to grow complacent.
Right.
So they're not letting anyone know. I mean, they announced season 4 a couple of days after season 3 came out. That decision wasn't made on that day.
They actually announced it before the season was over.
Okay, so it was before
the season was over. Yeah.
But the timing was very calculated. I felt. When it came
I feel
out.
like that too.
Yeah. So I guess what I would say is, MGM. This is MGM's biggest show. you've seen that a lot of MGM's Instagram posts now are saying, if you like Boyd, then you should watch this TV show we have about soldiers. If you like, I don't know, they try and link it back to From and recommend other shows that they're, you know, if you like Sarah, then you'll like this serial killer show. You know, so, and then remember how the finale had a whole 15 minutes of their next big budget show, The Earth Abides, tacked onto the end. I mean, you know, which probably was quite disappointing for people who saw 75 minutes and were excited for a really long finale, and then it just ends. So you know, they clearly want to use From to promote other shows. It's their biggest show by far. It's got a loyal cult following in a way that I think many other shows don't. So they know that a large portion of their subscribers are probably there for From more than, say, The Godfather of Harlem or whatever some of their other shows are. So yeah, I do think that From is safe, actually. And I think the 5 seasons that they keep talking about is actually how many seasons they've been greenlit on. And I actually think that that now that's even been extended a little bit, because this is MGM's flagship, and it probably doesn't cost as much to make as The Earth Abides.
Oh, hell no.
When you film in Canada with 98%, you know, Canadian actors, you know, and even Eon Bailey, he's technically.
When you think about it, though, Earth Abides didn't cost that much.
That's true. It is a small cast. It is basically, you know, they did a few big set pieces here and there, but you know, there is movie magic and stuff. But yeah, From is probably more expensive now that I think about it. But there's more I guess it depends on how much CGI costs, because there's a lot more CGI in The Earth Abides. Anyway, sorry to go off on a ramble. But yeah, I just thought that was very interesting that Jeff Pinkner made such a big deal of letting us know that they didn't have the finale of season 3 planned when they filmed season 1. Now that maybe he thinks John Griffin won't like that, because it will make it sound like they don't have anything planned, and it's they're making it up as they go along. So that is the conventional explanation for why that little sort of charade occurred.
Okay, so here's what I think. This is what I think, and you know, I know you got to go, but I want to drop this on you. I think that, imagine a house, if you will, and the construction of a house. Yep. I think that they dug a basement out. I think they started laying some plumbing stuff down. I think they got the foundation. They put up the stick frame, which is all the wood. And I think season 1 was them trying to then finish the house. You know what I mean? Starting to add the stairs in, starting to add some drywall. Starting to add some drywall. Hold on 1 second. Sis, I'm gonna call you right back. I'm on the live. Yeah, so they started to add a little drywall. They started to add the fixtures in. Season 2, we started seeing the windows and things come into play, and the siding and all of these things. Season 3, I don't think they have like this finished house. I think they have the stick frame and they have everything, and they're just adding as they go on, because they've made a lot of mistakes with deaths. Think about it. Even Trudy's death was a mistake. She's a character that should have. Well, they've even admitted that. Like they even said that. Father Kotry's death was also a mistake. They died in the same episode. You know what I'm saying? Trudy and Father Kotry died in the same episode. That was a mistake. So they even admit that by bringing him back as a fucking ghost, talking to Boyd over and over again. I don't think that was a plan of theirs. You know what I'm saying? Because it didn't even happen in season 1. It did, like, he didn't never see Father Kotry until he got back in season 2. They thought about, damn, we kind of fucked up. Season 2 comes along. They kill Smiley. They should have never killed him. He was shining. He was actually the poster boy of the show. It was his face and Boyd's face as the poster child for season 2. I don't.
Are you going to get Jamie Maguire in for an interview?
At some point, yes. Definitely before we make it to Newfoundland.
All right. Well, let's, because I think, as you know, I think you've got a big scoop that you could make, because
yeah. Don't even drop it. Don't even drop the sauce.
I'm not going to drop it, but I just want to say that you guys should look out for that interview, because I think there's something that Smiley has mentioned that Real's going to expand on. That's going to be really interesting. So let's see.
Yes, indeed.
That's all I can say on that.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to go now. I may listen as I'm brushing my teeth, but I'm going to drop off. So yeah, thanks very
Indeed.
much.
Peace and wellness. Good to have you as always.
You haven't done a call in for a while. Is
I
that
might
something-
I'll drop an invite link in here real quick to see if anybody wants to come up and give some thoughts and suggestions on, you know, what they want to see going forward. I'd love to hear what other people are thinking. I don't know. I just went on this whole rant earlier when we were talking about what season 4 should look like and what they were going to do. Man, I think that was fire. I might go back and clip that. That was pretty fire, y'all. Like, but yeah, so Taran, I appreciate you for dropping by as always, brother. Like, it was great. We had a great build. I think we touched a lot of stuff that we've been talking about over the last few days. We got more. There was some stuff we didn't talk about. Now that I think about it. But we'll talk about that next time. We'll talk about it next time.
And can we tease when the Providence documentary might drop?
Well, I am going back to Providence in 2025 around January, so that I can go and get that bit of footage that I need. I've already started writing my voiceover and stuff like that. I think that your direction on that was perfect for me. It put me in the right state of mind. I actually was having fun with you interviewing me in the documentary. And so, I think we're going to have a great documentary.
And we got such a great set, didn't we?
Yes, we had a great, awesome set. And also, the weather was lovely out there. It wasn't cold or anything. It was nice, natural lighting that we had. For all
I did
the
make you
videos.
walk miles, though, didn't I?
Oh, yeah. He made me walk with a sciatic pain. I was, but we did it. And, you know what I'm saying?
It's good to walk every now and again.
Absolutely. It's good to have that. It's good to have that exercise and get
And
that
then we missed the library. I'm still
the library. Yeah, that's why I'm going back. So have no fear.
I wanted to stand in it. Can you take a little?
I think I seen Demo in the chat earlier. I think Demo was in the chat earlier. I don't know if he's still in there. I think I saw him in there. We were saying something. I didn't get a chance to holler back at him. I see a lot of people that came in.
Real, can you do me a favor? Can you just like pull up a picture of me on your phone and take a selfie in Providence Athenaeum?
Yes. I can actually. I'm going to, while you're doing your part, because you did some footage outside of the Providence Athenaeum, I'm going to edit some of the footage that I catch going into the Athenaeum, and I'm going to edit that with your part that you.
Yeah, actually, it's all good. That's probably I forgot that I got some footage of me standing outside it, so they'll know where it is. So
there's Demo right there. Demo, there's Demo.
Maybe Demo could jump on.
Demo might jump on. I know Demo might jump on.
Anyway, I definitely have to go now. Good night, everyone. Take it easy.
Peace. Yes, that was the great Taran in the building. We're going to drop the link in a little bit. As a matter of fact, Demo, there were some things that you were saying in Providence when we were in Providence with you. We had this talk at the graveyard of at the grave site of what's his face? H.P. Lovecraft. There's the link if anybody wants to come up and chat for a little bit. I'm gonna rock out for another 12 minutes. We're gonna keep it an even 2 hours. That way people want to come back and visit the stream here. But we were talking about some things that would disappoint you if they were to happen. I remember the things that you said, and now that we've seen season 3 and how it ended, I would love to hear you tell me what you thought about it and how it translated to you, because I already know. I from what I know from what you said, you probably don't like it. Hold on, you're coming up on stage here. What's good, Demo? How you been?
Yo, what up? What up? You got me?
Yes, indeed, all is well.
Word. Yeah, I mean, not for nothing. I just wanted to pop in and say what up. I haven't talked to you in a little bit.
Yes.
Holidays have been crazy already.
COVID hurt the second seed. I don't think so. COVID was the second seed. The From came out after COVID, but the strike may have impacted the third's release time. That could be it as well. I just don't understand why they wouldn't write it. Or, they'd already been greenlit. So, but what do you think? What are your thoughts on the finale, bro?
Well, so my thoughts on the finale, like the whole season, my thoughts are overall positive. I honestly thought it was a better season than season 2. It's a lot of the interviews afterwards that make me a little worried. I think a main character's pregnancy arc is not the type of thing you should just be adding in on a whim. It makes me a little worried about the structure. But I still trust the writers, you know.
We got Steed in the building. Steed, mute the thing over there. Mute your end, whatever you're watching it on is feeding back. Mickey B, you don't have to put your camera up. You could come up here. Demo got his camera on.
You got to see the collection. You have the film on your
Oh shit! I can't. What am I seeing?
Transformers.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You got the Transformer collection going crazy.
That's my office. Yeah. Next time you come up to Rhode Island, you're gonna come through and hang out and chill.
When I come to Boston, I was gonna swing through and get that Athenium footage for Taran, and that's when we gonna link. I'll let you know when all that's going down.
I'll be around, you know.
Steve, you there? Where you go? All right, Steve dropped off real quick. Mickey B, you can come up if you don't want to show your camera. You don't have to. It's all good. You got the bonnet on. That's all good. You know what I'm saying? But yo, dig it. Like, okay, so I remember when we were at the graveside of H.P. Lovecraft, you made a statement about you didn't think that the writers knew where they were going, and it seems like they were forcing it, especially with bringing Tabitha back so early. So what are your thoughts on how it ended up from there?
So, yeah, well, honestly, I kind of will go back a little bit on that because I always knew Tabitha was coming back. I say I knew. I always suspected that Tabitha was coming back. I just thought that it would make more sense for that to happen later on. But I think, after seeing the rest of the season, I don't remember how many episodes. I think we were like 7 or 8 episodes deep.
No, we weren't. When we were in Providence, episode 4 was out, and episode 5 hit the day before we met. When you came through, then we had already saw episode 5, and you was like, "Yo, I really don't like how you was wary a little bit. You was worried.
I'm always. I don't trust
what the direction was. I'm gonna tell you like this: when they brought her back, I said, "Man, they need to make this have some rhyme and reason."
Reason, right? And I think Henry is a big part of that. Because I've been working on. I don't even want to call them theories because that sounds way more serious than it actually is. I just have some thought processes.
Yeah.
Because the whole end with the man in the yellow jacket killing Jim is like really suspicious. And I think that they needed to send the man in the yellow jacket to kill Jim because I think Jim and certain other characters are immune to the town. Jim spent the whole night under that house, didn't get killed. The 2 dudes he was with got killed. He didn't. He doesn't hear voices in his head or see visions. every time he hears anything supernatural, it's always through natural means, through a radio or a telephone. So I think they got to work extra hard to get to Jim. You know,
right? So they had to have somebody outright come kill him in broad daylight.
Come get him. Right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because he's a problem. Yeah, he got some. Yeah, I feel the same way about Jim. I felt the same. Like I felt the same way. I said, you know, Jim is connected to this place in a different way than everybody else is. Like I think that he's immune. I think he not. Let's not even use the word immune. Like impervious to some of the techniques of this place. You dropped out. I couldn't hear you.
Oh, you got me now?
Yeah, what you say?
Yeah, no, they just can't get into his head.
Exactly.
But I think that's also why the voices had Sarah kill Toby, because I think Toby is like Jim in the sense that the place doesn't have an effect on him, and they have to manipulate someone into doing it. The monsters can't do it, right?
Right.
So I think there's something going on with that. I think certain people are immune and don't realize that they're immune.
Right. And they cut Toby. Hey, Mickey B, how you doing?
Hey guys, that's a good idea, Demo. I never thought about that.
Well, because it doesn't make sense, right? Because the man in yellow, right? So if the man in yellow is a bad guy, right, and Jade and Tabitha are doing something good, then the man in yellow should have went after them, but he didn't. He went after Jim, right?
Well, I believe that Jade did exactly what the man in yellow wanted, and that's why he said that's a hell of a song.
No,
that
I agree
Jade
with that.
Can play. You know,
because I think they're being manipulated. This whole reincarnation thing, it might be reincarnation, but I think they've implanted like false memories into their minds.
That would be fire.
Well, because it doesn't make any sense, right? Why would the good guys why would the good guys put you in a situation where you abandon your own family? You know, and that's pretty much what's happening with Tabitha, right? She's like less and less involved with her own family. The kids ain't got no parents now because Jim's dead and Tabby's out playing make-believe, you know? And Jade, as much as I love the character of Jade, if you read his character from season 1 all the way to the end, the guy is narcissistic, you know what I'm saying? He loves himself. So he's easy, like people who are narcissists are easy to manipulate, right? Because you just feed into their ego. And all you got to do is feed into their ego a little bit and they'll become manipulable, right? So this place needs to manipulate Jade. So they tell him, oh, you're special, you're reincarnated. And he's not going to question it. He's just going to accept it because, oh, I'm the greatest. Of course I'm the hero, right? I think they're being manipulated.
Yeah, that makes a good bit of sense there. I like it. And it also would give us an out for the inconsistency.
Yes.
You know, it would be a great outward that these people are being played with and manipulated. And they did leave that open with the line from Christopher saying everything lies here.
Yes, yes.
So even whatever Fatima thinks that she saw with the slow walkers could be totally wrong.
Yeah, and I do think that the line that was it Christopher when he says everyone lies here.
Yeah.
Everything else he says is completely inaudible. The only thing that you can actually make out is everything lies here.
Lies. Yeah. Everything else was inaudible.
And I find out how Christopher dies too. Like, how does he disappear?
Right. And then what is the bad thing that he supposedly did? And if he did the bad thing, then why would Victor put his sister's drawings in Christopher's car?
In Christopher's trunk, right?
Like that shit made no sense to me when they showed it to us.
Here's something else I've been cooking on, and it's not solid or anything, but so Jasper, right? We spent like 2 seconds on Jasper, right? I think Jasper is like I think Jasper is a possessed, so ventriloquists, right? That's deception, right? I'm throwing my voice. I'm fooling you into thinking that it's the doll talking.
It's necromancy. It's necromancy.
I think the doll is controlling Christopher, not the other way around.
Making something that's alive not talk.
Yeah, and I think
Making
it's the
something
other
that's
way
not
around.
alive talk. My fault.
No,
Yeah.
I know what you mean.
So the thing is, that whole Jasper thing, they brought Jasper up there, and here Joe says it right there. Jasper was a nothing burger, and they fucked with us with that from the beginning of season 2.
Yeah, well, I think we'll see more of Jasper in next season.
They showed Jasper in the tunnels, and then Jade sees Jasper, and it's like it's cool how they connected it and everything, and it's cool how they made the connection, but it was just nothing. Like and then even after we find out what's going on with Jasper and it wasn't him, they still made him scream at Jade again.
Scream at him. Yeah.
What was that
No,
about?
because we're not done with Jasper.
Yeah,
We're not.
Joe said Jasper's just a jump scare, and that's all he's been so far.
No, I don't think we're done. I think there's more to it than what we've been told. I think we're all being taken for a ride.
Yeah, I think I think that they
or maybe they just did that part because Jade is afraid of climbing ladders, and since he was actually up there, his fear of like falling off the ladder could have been come true.
That was funny as hell.
Scared.
That was funny as hell. But speaking of that scene, Jade saying to Henry, "Yeah, so you keep telling me."
Oh, that was so hilarious, real. Your whole voiceover. Hi, I'm Henry, and my wife made the bottle.
Yeah, exactly. Yo, why does he keep telling people that shit? Why does he keep saying that? Why?
So I think Henry is like Jim. I think Henry might be. So that's why the boy in white let Tabby out.
Henry's lying.
To get Henry in because Henry is also immune, and they need somebody that's immune to replace Jim. Does that make sense?
No, Henry is lying his ass off.
He knows something.
Yeah, because listen. A woman shows up with your son's lunchbox, your missing son's lunchbox, and she says,
"Where did you get the lunchbox?"
Yeah, where'd you get the lunchbox? And she said, "I got it from your son. He's alive, and we were stuck in this place where there's monsters coming out, and everybody's there, and he doesn't believe her." How do you not believe her, and then tell her
some stupid ass shit in your
and then
basement.
tell her a whole story where your wife said the same shit?
Right.
Yeah. So
something's off.
Like something's off with that. Like, bro, hold on, wait a minute. So you mean to tell me that her saying the kids in the tower thing is what made you automatically believe her? Like, that makes no sense. You were playing with her. He was gaslighting her the whole time.
Right.
And then boom. Now, you said the right thing when the cops got there, just in the nick of time. I'll put the gun down and just tell you when I bought the gun for no reason. Like, oh yeah, I bought this 2 years after they left. Like, why you even, like, all of that shit was crazy. I owe you a dozen. You know what I'm saying? He had the 6-shooter. Like, yo, so here's the thing. If that's the case, then he tells her that his wife, he's like, let me make you something to eat. Tabitha's sitting there fucking at whatever he made. It looked like he put on a can of ravioli for her or something. I don't know what the fuck.
Real. Let me just say real quick, the entire Matthews family needs to die, considering every time they eat, they bite their silverware.
Yo.
Go listen to it. It drives me crazy every time. Stop touching that fork with your teeth, you freak.
Yo, for real. Like, that's
the
what
whole
you have
family.
lips. That's what you have lips for. Your lips are designed to pull food
The
in
whole
your mouth.
family. The little one, the girl, the wife, the dad, every single one of them.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to
they
derail.
need to go to etiquette school for table manners, like ASAP.
Yeah,
Like,
no, legit.
Yeah,
I'll go to Frontville myself and put it into it.
That's where they was on their way to when they got trapped.
That's gonna be asthma stuff.
This shit drives me crazy. They're sitting at the diner and all you hear is clink, clink, clink. It's like, what are you
Yo,
doing? You must have good dental, bro, because
oh my goodness. Yeah, you chip a tooth and from, you're fucked over. Shit, hey, shit.
Oh man.
But
Now I'm
anyway,
gonna
right?
not hear it. Thanks a
So,
lot, Demo.
so Victor tells these people, "Hey, I'm the reason why my mom ran through the tree and shit, and got caught up and died." Why didn't either Tabitha or Henry say, "Well, no, Victor, she already knew about the kids in the tower and the bottle trees and shit"?
Plot hole.
right.
Why didn't Tabitha say, "But Victor, your mom made a bottle tree in your backyard. Do you remember that there was a bottle tree in your
Bottle tree,
backyard? Do
right?
you remember that?
I bet
Like,
you
what the
Victor say
fuck?
no.
Do you remember all of the paintings in the basement that your mom made? Like,
Another thing that don't make no sense either is that there's no kids in that tower. There are no kids in that tower.
so obviously that was wrong. I said all of this in my last video. Obviously,
Yeah, quite a little bit.
obviously all of that shit is wrong. So where did that notion come from?
Mhm.
Victor tells us where it came from. It came from the boy in white. So the boy in white is who wanted Tabitha to think that the bottle trees were significant. Why? Because she gets back into Frumlin, and what does she do? She gives that information to Jade, and then everything becomes about bottle trees and getting the numbers out of there and all of this shit. So
they're being played.
So they do that. So then the boy in white, it was all a part of his plan to get that song played so that they can, and they always make sure, why is this person always, why are one of them always reincarnated as a violinist or a musician?
Sure.
So that they can play that goddamn song.
Yeah.
Now, what does this tell us? This tells us that everything that we're seeing is something that already happened before.
That's what I think.
We're not watching
I
the
said
first
that
time.
already. We're not watching this present.
We're not
This is
watching the
past.
first time that the shit happened. We're
Exactly.
watching like the second or maybe even the third time that they brought the man in yellow back.
Did you ever play Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask?
No, I remember the last Legend of Zelda I played was the first Legend of Zelda.
Goddamn. Nah, Majora's Mask is an interesting time travel story, but never mind. It's not super relevant.
Right. So, you know,
that's what I think. The when Julie is fighting the man in yellow at the very end, the last episode, I think that was like a present day. That's like the real story of what's happening, and what we are seeing was what the
that's
episodes
gotta
are.
be the second or third time around.
Oh yeah, because she's like, okay, this is the one. This might be the one, right? So this might be that might have been the second interim.
Yeah.
But I think what we're watching play out all of the seasons, I think that is like the past though.
So it would have to be the third time. Here's why. Here's why. First of all, because in this time we saw the slow walker monster say, "Do you remember me?" on the porch.
Right.
Okay, so it can't be. So we're not watching the first time this has happened. It has to be at least the third time. All right, so it had to happen once, right? It had to happen once in order for it to have happened.
To remember you,
right? For anyone to remember. Then it had to happen again, where Julie ends up throwing the rope down because, you know, we didn't know who threw the rope, right? So that's where it starts to loop at. Right there, when that happens, is where it starts to loop. So that means that it had to have happened before for it to be that far into the story, right? So because then what does she say? I can change it. She seemed super convinced that this time she would be able to fix things. So that means she would have had to have been in this shit at least one time before. So that's your third time. We have to be at least watching the third chain of events. That the one that include the paradox. We're not watching the first time. We're watching the paradox clue. Yeah, but because if Julie doesn't throw the rope, she doesn't get the cicadas anyway. So
Right.
if she doesn't get the cicadas, then she doesn't be able to go back in time to throw the rope.
Yeah,
So
so
that's
she's creating a closed loop. Like it is literally a bootstrap paradox in that
it's a
case.
bootstrap paradox.
Dang.
Exactly. But we thought that the bootstrap paradox was going to
Was
exist
the
within the bracelet
bracelet.
situation. Right, because they were literally made out of bootstraps, and we see multiple ones. One
That
when
was the
Victor was
breadcrumb.
right. That was to tell us that it was a bootstrap paradox, but they flipped where it was.
Right.
They
Well,
changed
did I-
where it was, and it was
Did I
Julie
tell you
on the
about-
rope.
Good
Did I
one,
tell you about
Leo.
my theory about the bracelet? That it's a
What's
map.
That would be
So-
crazy.
Because when they find the bracelet, that scene that they find the bracelet, they're in the back of the diner where Tien keeps all the leftover belongings, and Ethan is saying, "Hey, this is like the cave of the Lonely Dragon." He had tons of stuff, and somewhere in there was a map to the rainbow sky, and the Lonely Dragon just let him have it, right? And if you look around in that scene, there ain't nothing else in there that could be interpreted as a map or whatever, but that's clearly supposed to be like an
I
analog.
think
for
that was
the-
Tien
the
Chen
Lonely
giving
Dragon.
Jade the book.
Oh,
Chen
right.
giving Jade the book.
Yeah. No, truth.
Right, and so there's two Chromonocles, and they knew this from the beginning. So so this is why I'm saying that there's a possibility that they could have had this reincarnation shit in there from the beginning, because in season 1, episode 3, Tabitha says to Ethan they're going to be two Chromonocles. Now, both of them are Chromonocles because they both got a map from a Lonely Dragon. Jade's Lonely Dragon was Tien Chen. As a matter of fact, Tabitha confirms this when Ethan says, "What are you doing, Mom?" She says, "Oh, nothing. I'm just sitting here looking at this piece of Lonely Dragon's treasure."
Yeah.
The bracelet that she got from the storage room. So she's pegging Tien Chen as the Lonely Dragon. And then Tien Chen as the Lonely Dragon gives Jade the book with the symbols in it. Boom. So boom, there you go. So then you have Victor is the Lonely Dragon for Tabitha because he gives her the map to the bottle tree. He gives her a picture of the bottle tree. He tells her that this is where you got to go to get to the tower. So, and that goes back to season 1 when Tabitha said there's going to be two Chromonocles for you. So I do believe that they might have had the reincarnation bit inside of it anyway. They may have had, and it would have been crazy as hell if they would have had like Jade as a teenage girl who was reincarnated from this guy or some shit, which is not too far-fetched for them to do. And does reincarnation mean that you definitely come as the same gender that you died as?
No,
I mean, who knows? You know what I'm saying? We don't know.
It depends on
Right. So I mean, and they could write it the way the fuck they want to write it, to be honest. You know what I mean? But they put Jade in there, which was an excellent choice.
I wanted to say, it made me think. I just wanted to point this out to just the community in general. Is the first time we see Christopher, where do we see him? In a photograph, right?
Right.
What kind of photograph is that? A
Polaroid.
Polaroid. And what do we know about Polaroids? They lie, right? So that's another reason why I think that they're being bamboozled. You know?
What did you say? They lie.
Why do you mean they lie?
What do you mean by that?
They manipulate, right? The Polaroids are what manipulated Elgin into thinking that he was doing the right thing by
okay. I thought
hiding
you meant like the
Tabitha.
way they develop or something.
Ooh.
Yeah, so the fact that his
They
picture
lie.
was in a Polaroid means that something deceptive is happening. You know what I mean?
Ooh, that's a good connection because I didn't even think about how that Polaroid could be some bullshit, to be honest.
And why was it hidden? Why was it hidden? You seal away things that you don't want people to see because it's bad juju.
And it was in the book stuck between the pages.
Yeah.
Which is a real crazy innuendo.
Right.
If you catch my drift there.
Real.
Real.
I catch. I catch your drift.
I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Okay, that's a crazy innuendo that they put in there. Now that I think about it.
Is that why the mama said go find another hiding spot?
Ah,
Oh my god.
Maybe.
while you
Yikes.
running around in basements with this motherfucker sitting around in basements and shit, like what the fuck? What the fuck was Chris doing in the chapel basement? Christopher.
They don't want to know.
Yeah.
with Victor's mom and a
But
ventriloquist.
now I'm bugging that. Now I'm bugging that a picture of Christopher and Victor was stuck between the pages of a book. He was wilding over.
All right, you know what? I'm done.
Wow.
Yeah, that's enough internet for tonight.
Yeah. Dino, you started it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
My bad. I was just, following the breadcrumbs.
No,
The
I
breadcrumbs.
mean, yo, that's a crazy thought there. Like, what is the bad thing that he did? What is the bad thing that he did? And you know what? There's so much inconsistency with Victor. He's been painted as an unreliable narrative, right?
Mhm.
However, I think that he's told us the truth about he was the one that told his mom about those kids in the tower in the bottle tree.
Right.
I think she was having visions, and he's the one that told her, just like he's the one that told Tabitha. And I think that I think Henry is lying.
Yeah, that would definitely throw a little shade on Henry for sure.
Because he got up and was like, "Come here, Victor, god damn it, don't you ever say that again." And he could have easily told him, like, "Son, you weren't the one that told your mother. She already knew.
Right.
Don't be so hard on yourself. You're not the reason why." Like, he could have easily cleared homie's
Cleared it up.
Like,
That's the second opportunity. And he blew
so,
it.
and I think that there was some sort of spell put on Tabitha because Tabitha didn't say anything either. How do you not go to Victor and say,
Right.
I
I'm
saw
your
the
mom.
bottle trees? No. How do you not go to Victor and say, I saw the bottle trees in your backyard?
Oh, right. Yeah. Even just simple.
Victor
Right.
would have had to known about the bottle tree.
Right.
Yeah.
Did we even see any any parts of the episode where she's like, Victor, I went to your house. Oh my god, I saw
Nothing.
your childhood room.
Nothing,
Right?
yeah.
They didn't
And
include
speaking of that scene, when Tabitha was at another thing that throws a little shade on Henry is he shows Tabitha one of Victor's old drawings, and it's a picture of Victor and his family. It's him, Eloise, his mom, and his dad, and they're standing in front of a blue house, right? But the house that they're in is supposedly the house Victor grew up in. That's his bedroom, right? But that house is yellow.
Yellow, yeah.
So what's this blue house? You know what I mean? Like a little hint isn't going to draw his house the wrong color,
No, he's not. Those kind of details will not no stone will be left unturned when it comes to a child's drawing. Like they're not super detailed, but
they get the stuff, they get the information in there.
Exactly. I have little children that draw shit for me all the time, and their interpretation is going to be spot on as far as like what color shit was and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
you don't accidentally color your house in the wrong color.
Right. They wouldn't color their house the wrong color, their car a different color, no shit like that.
Especially not colors, right? Because kids, it's shapes and colors when you're a kid.
Right. And they want you to know that that's what they've realized. You know what I'm saying? They want you to know that that's what this is. Joe R has become a member. Thank you for your generosity and becoming a new magnified member. Go ahead and celebrate with those emojis that you now have access to. And all the other members on the team, go ahead and celebrate our new member coming in here, Joe. Joe's definitely coming in here with some dope points. What did Joe say here? Go, Joe. Yo.
He was
Christopher and Miranda were going to make another child sacrifice. That's a good one. That's a good one. That's a good one. What did Golden Child say? What's good, Golden Child? He says, because all that we've seen so far is Julie's perspective of what happened. That's a good point. You know what I'm saying? Justin White says, damn, that Henry impression is on point. Yo, the funniest shit is when Tabitha said, "We're not in Camden, Maine." He was like, "What?"
Yeah. What?
He was like, "What?"
Yo,
Bro.
real. I'm gonna bounce out in a second. I just want to leave you with at least one thing that I'm thinking is two things. Julie wrote the Chromanacle because the story can't be changed once it's been written, but it hasn't been written yet, so she finishes writing it. And also, Man in Yellow is Ethan from the future. I'm just gonna leave those there.
So
And-
all right, so let me ask you this before you dip. You can't leave that and then just leave out on that, bro. Like why would you think that the Man in Yellow would come kill his father?
So basically, what happens, right? So Jim dies. Where we are currently, right? Jim is dead, and Tabitha is out in the woods chasing ghosts. That leaves the two kids alone. Julie obviously is going through her own shit and can't take care of Ethan. We all think that Ethan's gonna go on a a dark path, right? So Ethan is gonna go on this dark path, right? And by the time he becomes Old Man Ethan, aka the Man in the Yellow Jacket, he wants to be how he is, right? Because he don't even remember what it's like to be a kid anymore at that point. He's been consumed fully, right? Mm-hmm. So he is then told by the powers that be, like, hey, in order for you to be who you are now, you have to go back in time and kill your dad. And he goes, okay, I like who I am, right? So that's why Julie is going to have to go through these loops and try to prevent Ethan from going down the dark side. And I think we'll see a lot of that in season 4. That's like a vague prediction. I guess if you want to call it a prediction. I think that. Oh, and I think also the banging underneath the RV, I think that's Julie. Julie's she's in a tunnel under there she knows the RV somewhere around here, right? And she's trying to find, she knows her dad dies by the RV. She know, you know what I mean? And she's in a tunnel. And I think that's her down there. Again, these are all just thoughts, right? Nothing theory, because there's nothing I can do to test this stuff, right? So, but those are just some things I was thinking, and I wanted to get them off my chest before I bounce.
Well,
yeah,
just to your point about the Man in Yellow, he does. There was an interview with Doug Hughes, and he did say something that was kind of like revealing, which was he wants to go back to the beginning to try to understand how this guy becomes the villain. And everybody in the chat was like, "Ooh, the beginning. Good point."
Did you hear the story he told? Oh no, it wasn't him who told the story. It was one of the writers or producers. I can't remember exactly who.
No.
The story about what inspired the story that
the
inspired
Man in Yellow
him.
About the homeless dude dancing outside.
Yeah. The first time he seen him, he was dancing like a magical creature. 5 years later, he sees him and he's old and worn down,
and
right?
He's downtrodden and he's got the same suit on and everything.
Yeah.
I also want to point out. Go ahead.
Well, Ethan is always wearing yellow. Ethan's drawing of himself that he gives to Victor, Ethan's name is highlighted in yellow. It's clear as day. Ethan is yellow, right? The show has been telling us that.
Scott McCord had some yellow drawings of like a yellow being that was watching everything.
Yeah, well, I mean, for me, what clinched it is when they put the kid's name in yellow letters. You know what I mean? Like, Ethan is yellow, right? It's his name. That's him. So there's at the very least a connection between Ethan and the Man in the Yellow Jacket, because they are both the most prominent use of the color yellow. And then, like I said, Ethan's name being highlighted in yellow, like they can't tell you any louder, you know?
Yeah.
Because if I wrote my name down and I filled it in with red, you know what I mean? You'd be like, oh, Demo's favorite color is red, right? You know?
The devil.
You won't find out until season 4 if I'm the devil.
Right.
All right, I get a bounce for real. I don't want to keep.
No problem. I'm about to end the stream. We
Have
had
fun
a
with
great
those
stream.
Transformers.
I know.
Word. Hey, I'll give you the grand tour when you come through, real.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I'll be in touch for real, and I'll keep listening in for the rest of the show.
Indeed. Peace. Well, we about to
Peace out.
end it
Peace out.
all. Appreciate
Thank
you
you,
for
Real,
coming
for
through,
having me
D-Lo.
as well. This was so fun. My first time hopping on.
Oh yeah, this is real dope. This is real dope. I love having you on. You got any thoughts before we leave?
No, this was just awesome, and thank you for having me on. I mean, all my thoughts come from you guys is just having the conversation, and then basically the thoughts just start coming in. So thanks for always having such good deep dives and your esoteric dives. I'll be like, yes, Real, yes.
Oh,
you should
wait till you hear this next
you
one.
should
Oh
see
my
me in here.
god.
Oh my gosh.
This the next one is so crazy. I can't even believe I saw this, and I'm peeping this, and it's
That whole
under
sun
it.
and moon when you had the Father Khatri and you had the little shawl on the sweater on him with the sun on one side and the moon on the other, and then you had Tabitha with the curtain, and then you had what's her name, Fatima with the at the nighttime. I was like, yo,
Yeah,
who, how does he think of all of this? Oh
yo,
my
but it's there in the show, and there was an interview that um the Jeff Pinkner, no, the Jack Bender interview on E-Man's page where he asked him something, and Jack Bender pretty much described that scene and how all of that was deliberate on how he had Tabitha pull the curtain back and everything. And because E-Man asked about the reflection in the mirror, in the window, I mean. And he was like, well, no, I kind of knew that was going to happen. And I just decided, I knew she was going to pull the curtain back, So that indicates that those two scenes were definitely purposely done in that way. And they actually led me to the whole egg theory, which ended up being what Fatima lays is an egg. I thought it was so funny where people were coming in there talking about, am I serious? And it's not really an egg and all of that. Okay, well, Fatima thinks it's an egg, and so does Bacta. And I don't know, were you here when I played that? Were you here, Mickey B, when I played that? Can't hear you. I
Yeah,
don't.
I said yeah, I was.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. That
And
definitely
you were like the
happened.
only one who was saying that. Yeah, my phone had turned off. You were the only one
Mhm.
who was saying that the whole entire time. So I was just like, what? Like,
And
I was like, how did he connect that?
everybody thought it was crazy, so that's why that was one of my theories that they didn't steal. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Hmm.
they stole the Native American joint and ran with it. A couple people been taking that, running with it, and that's cool with me. I don't have no problems. You know what I mean? Like, in this day and age, like, they even tell you, like, copy your favorite creators and stuff like that. And so, like, that's what's up. Like, that's how you do it. But the egg thing is something that nobody wanted to touch, and I see a lot of people still don't want to give me my flowers for that one. But that's okay. We still cooking over here. Next season, I'm ready for next season. I already know if they are staying along the path of the esoteric symbolism that they're putting in there. Hopefully, they are, because I'll be right there with the magnifying glass out.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And on
And
that,
those were my favorites. When you keep me waiting too long, I'm like, oh my God, he must be watching the episode like 10 times or something. What's taking him so long?
well, a lot of times I see all of these things, and what it is figuring out, like, damn, where do I start? Like, all of this shit that I have and I've noticed, and look at my notes, and like, where do I start? And a lot of it is connecting it together and then going ahead and writing like a basic rap cat in the hat nursery rhyme about it. And then that's what you guys get in the video. You know what I'm saying? But yes indeed.
Those are my
Even
favorites.
the egg theory on point, even the Google search. Oh, yes. Yeah. But see, it's crazy because I was the Roots man last year. I figured out the Roots shit, but I didn't say nothing because I was like, oh shit, like, they gonna think I'm bugging if I connect this show to Roots, Alex Haley's Roots. And I wish I would have did the video, because then you would have had the same effect, just like the egg shit. Then the Roots shit would have happened. I'd have been able to poke my chest out like, I told y'all this shit was connected to Roots. And then Jade finds the Roots. But I put out the video afterwards. But Jade is totally connected to the movie roots as far as him being the fiddler, and coming in to Crumlin with his best friend named Toby. And
Oh
Fiddler and
yeah, yeah,
Toby,
yeah.
yeah, Fiddler and Toby were best friends in the movie Roots. hmm
I was like, what? And then
hmm
the other one that I liked that you did was the circus, and you said the ringmaster. That was
Oh
another good
yeah,
one.
the
And
circus and the
how they
ring,
all how what's his name? Victor does that when he's going into his little tent in the basement, and
and
then how
Ellis.
Ellis does it when he's
Yeah,
showcasing the
yeah.
room.
Ellis even does a drum roll on the table or whatever right there. He with his hands, and he says, "This is your room," and shit like that, or whatever he says to her. But yeah, like those things are definitely directed purposely. Like even when they brought when Fatima was bringing Julie into the room, she had her eyes covered, and in Masonic rituals, they a lot of times the candidate is blindfolded during the ritual. You see what I'm saying? Then they
Mhm.
had Jim came into the vestibule at the school with Tabitha. He comes in holding his hands up to his eyes, and he's blindfolded
Oh,
as he enters the stage. And and then he crosses his legs like the Templar
right,
effigy.
right. Yep.
Yeah, oh yeah, I noticed all that type of shit, and
I'm
you
just
know,
like, how does so yeah, I think you do need to do like a little side video of like how you do come up with all your connections. Or maybe not. Maybe you just keep it to yourself so that we always are
I
in
mean,
awe.
well, the thing about it is I've read like a lot of esoteric symbolism. So
Mm,
there's like
okay.
11 different types of esoteric symbolism. You have mysticism, you have numerology, you have symbology. There are different types of esoteric symbolism that you can learn about, right? And they're all around us actually. Like even in the architecture of the buildings, even the placement of the streets in most major cities. You know, they make certain patterns, they make certain things in the actual. If you were to get an aerial view of most places, you would see that that's what they have in common, all, not just in America but all over the entire world. And so even in the ancient times, this is what they did. They left large structures that can be seen from an aerial view, and you got to ask yourself, why would they do that? But you know, it's just in our everyday lives, even some of the things that we say, even the things that we you know, yo, you know what, tomorrow I'm gonna do an Earth Abide stream, but I don't
Hmm.
want to make this stream too long, y'all. It's
Okay,
like
okay.
2.5 hours. Nah, dig it. No, we're gonna get into a lot of this stuff. We're gonna talk about it. But yeah, I don't mind like passing the information on how I come up with my theories and how I notice these things. It's just watching the show. I've been like this since I was a little kid, like 13 at least.
You're
Every
just
time
tapped
I
in anyway.
every
Like
time I
for you to come up with all of this anyway. Like you just got to be a little tapped in because it's like that's
Mhm.
not where my mind initially goes. Like I'm making like surface level connections, and then you're like taking it all the way to the next level, and I'm just like never even thought of it like that, and I'm like wow. And then
Well,
for
that's
me,
the
it's more like
symbolism.
learning. I just like learning, so like it's always interesting to me. I'm just like wow. So I'll be
I
like
would
looking
love
stuff
to
up. I'll be
I
like
would love see
what?
my interviews that I would love are the people that are dropping the symbolism. And what I'm noticing is it's not so much as the three writers like Jack, Jack,
Right, that's
John,
what I
and
want to find out. Who are
yeah,
those
Jack.
people?
Who are the guys that are actually carving little symbols in the stones and stuff like that? And you know, who are the guys that are making sure that there's the egg plate there? Like I would
Mm-hmm.
love to, you know, have those kind of interviews, you know what I'm saying, to talk about the symbolism in the show. And that's what I want to strive for actually if I start doing interviews. Taran wants me to start doing interviews. I'm not too much of it. I'll be a great interviewer, don't get me wrong. I think I'd be great. I think I'd have some real compelling questions. I wouldn't try to box them in. I'd just ask them certain things that we could gather actual information from. I wouldn't want to give them a question that they wouldn't want to answer. You know, I would just go ahead and like get some of the substance of what their inspiration is, because that's the key, is the inspiration. What inspired you to believe these type of symbols and this symbolic
Mhm.
references?
Because it's almost like when you're reading like poetry, like from people who are dead, and then like you read it, and then everyone has all these different interpretations, and then you just want to be like, I want to just ask the poet, like, what were you thinking? And then they could just tell you. And here
Right.
you have, this real deep meaning, and I just want to go to that person. I'm like, were you thinking this? Were you thinking when had Fatima pull the curtain specifically to the left and Tabitha to the right? Were you thinking? Like this had to be like the connection of the sun and the moon. And then I want the person to be like, yes, oh my God, you caught it. And like, what? Mind blown. Like, but like, I want to know who, like you said, who that person is, just because I want to know like what's their level of understanding about, the symbolism and, esoteric things, and why are they choosing to put these things into the story, just things like that. Like, I think that would
So
be also deeper
real quick
conversation.
before I go, I'll stay on for a few minutes longer, since we got Debbie Ebby Bebby is coming to building, Toby and
Baby,
Fiddler.
baby, oh baby.
Nana Fana for Febby Fee Five Mo Maybe Debbie. Yeah, she says she's here in the building. Luna Cascade is here. She said, hello, sorry I'm late. I just joined the stream. Yo, no, nothing sorry about you, sis. You're a beautiful person. And I'm glad you came. You could check. I didn't want to make it so long so that people will want to rewatch it and stuff. It wouldn't be that hard to rewatch, but it is what it is. We get to talking this from stuff. We had Taran up here earlier. We had a great build. Yeah, we were he's still talking about the alternate ending, but he's got some great points, and he's actually got some clues and some things that the writers have said. And I mean, I can't lie, like I would love that. Who else we got in the building? Miss Deb is in the building. Good to see you here. Yeah, smash that like button. Let's get them likes up. Oh, Joe, you wildin' over there. Joe wildin' over there. You know what I'm saying? That's a crazy perspective though. I like it though. I'm not against anybody's theories and stuff like that. I think Fatima was definitely born a female. I don't think that she's a transgender or anything like that. And I do think that she might have had like a medical issue, and she probably wished for children, a man, and things of that nature. And I believe that a lot of the people that come into Frumlin have made wishes. Tony and I spoke about this before he did his Jin video, and I said I think it's a monkey paw. I've even remember Percy mentioning that it was a Jin.
Yes.
Percy mentioned it was a Jin as well, but I think it's something more like a monkey's paw. I
Yeah.
think that there's some sort of items that have given some powers and some entities that are there that have brought in these items forth. And I definitely think there's a crystal ball there. I think the holder of the crystal ball is the man in yellow. But to speak on something real quick that we were saying earlier about us not knowing exactly what timeline we're watching, it being that everything that we've seen has happened before we saw it, right? Before what we saw. And how we know that is because the slow walker on the porch asking Julie, doesn't she remember? And then all the way to season 3, we find out that the girl's been time traveling. So there has been something that she has, seen. Now, even to speak to that even more, as proof that these things have happened over and over again, is why the slow walkers would know everybody's name. It's why they would know that the ambulance was coming in. It's why they would know, the voice on the radio would know that the hole was being dug. It's why the voice on the phone knew that the ambulance was coming in. It's, they knew that Tien Chen would probably help Boyd. They knew that they were coming back with food. The slow walkers knew all of these things. You see what I'm saying? And not only just the slow walkers, but the man in yellow as well. So I think that just adds to the theory that this is not the timeline. This is not the original timeline that we're watching. And I don't think that it ever was. Like, a lot of people think that it's not the original timeline because now we see Julie at the end. I don't think we have been watching the original timeline, and the main reason why is because the rope was thrown down. So if the rope was thrown down, then that means that there had to be a beginning of that bootstrap paradox. Because if the rope doesn't get thrown down, Julie doesn't get the cicadas. Julie doesn't get the cicadas. She doesn't become a story walker. She doesn't become a story walker. She doesn't throw the rope. She doesn't throw the rope. Boy doesn't get out the well and bring the cicadas back. You see what I'm saying? So all of those things are like, you know, all of those things are kind of like the beginning of, so that's what we see. We saw the rope get thrown down. So that means Julie had to have thrown the rope down. That means that what we're watching cannot be the original timeline of events. There's no way. And it has to be at least the third, if not way more. It could be way more. You know what I mean? And I think that Henry's lying, which adds to that sentiment as well. Why does that add to it? Because Henry would know, if Henry would have known if Tabitha comes back with his son's lunchbox and there's a woman talking about being trapped in a place with monsters. There's no reason why he would have to hear her say anything about the kids in the tower to just magically start believing her when the cops get there. Everything she said from the very beginning is what he pretty much said. You know what I mean? Luna Cascade drops a super chat. Thank you for your generosity. And she says, what do you think of the kimono woman? She seems to be as powerful as the man in yellow. There's more to her than we've seen. Yes. It even starts making me think, what is the catalyst that brought her about? What made her come all of a sudden? She kind of came out of nowhere. Elgin saves Ellis. He saves Ellis' life. He drives Ellis down to the clinic when he gets stabbed. Boyd tells him to go home the next day. They all go home. He goes and immediately tells Julie that they killed one of the monsters. So Julie knew that one of the monsters was killed. Julie's one of the only persons that know that the monster's dead, because Elgin told her. Later on that night, when he tells her that, she suggests to him that he should take a bath. But he didn't. He went to sleep and dreamt that he took a bath. A lot of people think that Elgin actually went in the bathroom and took a bath. Oh, no problem, Mickey. No problem. A lot of people think that Elgin went and took a bath. He didn't. He didn't go take a bath. He dreamt that he took a bath, and the kimono lady woke him up out of that dream by pushing him up underwater. Why? I don't know. Where did she come from? And what was that about? Was she stopping him from becoming one of the three? Julie didn't see the music box, but she knew about the death of the monster. Randall knew about the death of the monster. And Marielle knew about the death of the monster. Was that the catalyst on why they were selected by the cicadas? Was that why they were picked? Because all three of them knew about the death of the monster. You see what I'm saying? So here's another part to that. If they knew about the death of the monster and Julie didn't see the music box, Randall didn't see the music box, but Marielle saw the music box, right? So the music box is not the catalyst for why they got selected by the cicadas. The only thing that they share in common is knowing about the monster, Smiles Davis, being killed, whose body the cicadas came from. The cicadas came out of his body, right? we haven't really gotten any concrete answers on any of that. Because even when Boyd explains the situation with the worms to Christy, he was saying things that Martin never said. You see what I'm saying? And a lot of it was speculation that he was speculating, you know. So I don't know. I'm not sure about that. I gotta think about it. But be on the lookout for my next video. I have some things. Okay, so Mickey B says, what about Christy? Christy didn't see the music box, but Christy knew about the cicadas. I mean, Christy knew about the monster. But the thing about it is, in the nursery rhyme, it says that they come for 3. So the 3 that they came for, we can definitely say that all 3 of those knew about the monster being killed. Elgin told Julie at the pool. Julie said, go take a bath. He said, I don't take baths. He goes home. He dreams about taking a bath. In his dream, he sees the music box, and all of a sudden the kimono wraith comes in. To go back to Luna's question, what do you think? What do you think of the kimono woman? I don't really know. Where did she come from? What was the catalyst that brought her there? Why did she pick Elgin? Was it because of his dream? Was it because he's something like Sarah? I think he's a lot like Sarah and is connected to the place in ways that he can communicate with things. The kimono wraith was tangible. Even in Elgin's dream, she wasn't like a ghost or anything like that. She was tangible. The children, when they were ghosts with Tabitha, they were also tangible. Because I remember they were scratching on her and touching on her and stuff, and she was like hitting their hands and stuff. She was like smacking their hands back, and so they were touchable. That's why she curled up in a ball on the steps. So there's just a lot of questions that they didn't really answer. The boy in white is tangible because when it was raining, the rain came down on him and dropped on him. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and cut this off here. I got phone calls and text messages coming in. Business to attend to before I go to bed. And I appreciate everybody for dropping by. Luna Cascade, again, thank you for the super chat. Much appreciated. And I will catch y'all on the next one. Just a little something to think about while we wait on the next episode. That's all for the live stream this evening. We'll catch you in the next one. We out of here. Peace.